audience.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Burnie and Bestie Live. Woohoo! Burnie and Bestie in the house. So glad to have you here today. What up?
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I'm just making sure this streams to my audience. Happy Sunday. If you're watching this in the replay, happy whatever day you're seeing this.
Happy whatever day, happy whatever year, happy new year, happy all the vibes. If you want to know what happens behind the scenes before we hit live, the past 2 weeks we've been singing Britney Spears. So that's where we're at. Has anyone been to a Britney Spears concert? I mean, like OG Britney, right? Back in the day. Anyways, we have. There you go.
That was my first ever concert, was a Britney Spears concert.
Such a vibe. Yeah. Okay, so we are here today to talk about, as I'm sure, I would imagine almost everybody who's walked into, now this is an assumption, just to be clear, but almost everybody who's walked in the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous or perhaps even a 12-step meeting has heard the phrase, "It works if you work it." So we are going to unpack that today. We both have some notes and some kicking off points. And for me, what I always want with these is I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think. I want to know what your experience is, because your experience, if you feel comfortable enough to share it in the comments, and if you don't, I totally get that, because I didn't comment on anything about leaving AA or being in AA until 5 years after I left. So if you want to vibe along in the comments and share your experience, it would make this richer. If you don't want to, don't do it. This is you doing you, boo.
That's right. Hey.
So I wanted to start off with, Hitler, because why not? So here is something interesting as we go into even explore and unpack and deconstruct. It works if you work it. And I believe that's mythology. What about you, Tara Grace? Burnie, weekend with Burnie. Can we get a what up for Burnie? This is a weekend with Burnie over here.
I'm sorry. Can you say that part again? I was just reading the comments. I'm sorry. What do I think about what? I'm sorry.
What do you think it works if you work it as mythology? Let's just start off there.
100%. As someone who worked the hell out of it and still couldn't quite get it, 100%. It's like, what do we call it? Thought stopping cliche, and 100% part of the 12-step mythology, all of that, all the folklore that goes with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this is awesome. I see all the good mornings in the comment. Good morning, good evening, John, Sarah, Nelson, Tabitha, Kat, Kate, all the people. Do you think it works if you work it as a mythology? Let us know what you think. As a reminder, it's not what I think, and no offense, Tara Grace, the OG Burnie over here. It's not what Tara thinks either. It's what you think, right? It's about waking up our own critical thinking. To me, that's what deconstruction is. It's like, what the fuck do I actually think when I'm not told I have to believe this, otherwise I'm going to die. So yes. When we remove that baloney, God, I never knew I was going to be so much baloney, Okay, so I'm reading from a book called How Fascism Works. A friend of mine recommended that I read this because of, what I call ideological, or what I understand as ideological possession, which is like authoritarianism, which is how I see AA. Anyways, the goal of this is from How Fascism Works by Jason Stanley. It's a quick paragraph here. The goal of oratory should be not to convince the intellect, but to sway the will. The anonymous author of an article in a 1925 Italian fascist magazine writes, "The mysticism of fascism is proof of its triumph. Reasoning does not attract, emotion does." In Mein Kampf, which is the book that Hitler wrote when he was incarcerated in the 1920s before he rose into power, or further into power, right? In Mein Kampf, which I believe means my struggle in German, in a chapter entitled "The Struggle in the Early Days, the Role of the Orator," Hitler's leaving his playbook out for everyone to see. Hitler writes that it is a gross misunderstanding to dismiss simple language as stupid. Throughout Mein Kampf, Hitler is clear that the aim of propaganda is to replace reasoned argument in the public sphere with irrational fears and passions. I wanted to start it there because while it sounds so simple, it works if you work it. It fits the description of propaganda. Keep it simple, keep it third grade level, keep it a mantra that you can say over and over and over again, and that it bypasses reasoning and it gets emotional. And you know what we do in the meetings? Well, the meetings I was in, we hold hands at the end of the meeting and we say, it's not a religion, but we're just going to say the Lord's Prayer here, or the third step prayer, or whatever, or serenity prayer. It was one of those three. And then we're going to shake our hands up and down as they're held. And we're going to say, it works if you work it. And we might even say, it works if you work it and you're worth it. Or it works if you work it, keep coming back, something like that. But we always say, it works if you work it, and shake hands. Now, it might be different in your meetings that you went to or in your country, but it's simple phrases that's the indoctrination. It works if you work it. Literally, it's in Hitler's playbook.
That's wild, dude. But it is, like you said, I mean, or like what you read too, it like I'm just absorbing it and thinking as you're talking about it. And it does, it bypasses the reasoning, and it just makes it seem so simple. Like, oh, like, it works if you work. And it's like, of course, if you do the work, then it's going to work for you. And then anything else, it becomes like, well, you didn't work it hard enough, because it works if you work it. Look at all of us. We're proof. We worked it. It works for us. And there's just so much like bullshit. Like what Tabitha said, something up there. She was already trying. And when they say shit like that, you're already trying to do it, and then they're like, well, it works if you work it. It just makes you feel like more shit, like more of a piece of shit, because you're trying to work it, but it's not fucking working for you. So it doesn't always work if you work it.
Can we bring Brittany back again? If you came on a little late, we did kick it off with Brittany, bitch. What's her song? You better work. No, not you better work. It's get to work, bitch.
Yeah.
You better work, bitch. You better work, bitch. It'll work if you work, bitch. It is okay to laugh while we deprogram, because what the fuckery, bullshittery were we even in for however long? How long were you in 12-step? I was in AA for 10 and a half years. Let us know in the comments. How long were you in? And were you a true believer? So you can write, I would write in the comments, I was in 10 and a half years and I was a hashtag true believer. Let us know how deep you went into the insanity.
Yeah, I was in and out for 10 years, just cycling in and maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, it was not a good time.
Okay, so I put together a little framework for us to go here. Let's see. We have a couple comments. It's funny. Sarah says, it should be like, bitch, is this thing on? Bitch, is this thing this thing isn't working? Well,
seriously.
Totally. Okay, so point number one, I thought that would be a good well, we did vibe beforehand. So these are kind of how we thought it would be a good idea to go through. Number one, if it worked, the numbers would look different. So AA publicly claims about a 90% effective rate, I think. And looking at the data, people tend to say it's closer to the 95% failure rate. So if AA claims that they're very effective, but actually most studies that I've seen say it's 5%, maybe even 10%, but most of them say AA is a 5% success rate. So to say it's a 5% success rate is as if I had this much lemon water in my yes, I drink water out of one of these. If I had this much water in here and I'm saying, oh, I'm full of lemon water. No. You're fucking empty, bro. Like, hello, glass full, glass empty. Like, if there's this much, it's like empty. So to say it's a 5% success rate is like delusional. No, it's a 95% failure rate. Like the failure is so extreme that to call it successful is like part of the propaganda campaign. So independent long-term outcome data consistently lands that AA is around 3 to 8% sustained remission. So let's discuss if it worked, if you work it, then why are the stats so low?
Right. And like what I said before we press record, it's like, if it worked, if you work it, the way that people are saying, I really believe that AA would be standing room only, right? It would be so hard to get in because all of these people who worked it would still be going and would still be working it. But the fact that you could pretty much always get a seat, and there's usually a lot of empty seats, and there's usually only a handful of people who have been there 5 or plus years, I feel like that speaks volumes too, you know? Tabitha said, make it make sense because it doesn't. Sure doesn't.
Sure don't.
Sure don't.
Burn that one down.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, you got to. Harry said, most I saw long-term sobriety acted out a lot sexually, gambling, preying on newcomers. I remember seeing a lot of that myself.
And Bill Wilson was in that category, right? I mean, he died essentially of his cigarette addiction. And he also had, I don't know if you'd call it an addiction, but he also was so prolific in his 13th stepping or sexual predation inside of AA, I think is what it would be called. Although I don't want to be accusatory here. I wasn't there. But as the story goes, he slept with so many of the people in his group that they had something called the Founders Watch, where they would literally have to go and watch him at meetings to make sure that he wasn't hitting on newcomers or any women in the groups. And I read that through the Orange Papers. I also read that he was doing that inside Oxford group too, which was not a vibe.
I never heard that. The Founders Watch. What the hell, dude?
Yeah, that might have been in the real AA is where I read that. I'm not sure. At this point, some of what I've read in the books is all blurred together. Yeah. By the way, right now we are reading the quick commercial break. The real AA. Let me know if you've read it, but we're reading this book right now. I love it. It is one of my favorite deprogramming AA books. So I want to make sure I give it a shout out right now while it's our book of the month and our Deprogram Book Club. The Deprogram Book Club's inside Deprogram Lounge, which is my free community. There's an app. It's if you're on my YouTube, Sobriety Bestie, it's the first link below, or just go to sobrietybestie.com. And there, it's hard to find. So somebody found like there's a free copy online, so the PDF's in there too. If you want to read it, it's really good. Yeah, what was I going to read from? Yeah, that's all. Sarah says, "Do that book is $45 on Amazon. Is that the right price?" Yeah, I've seen it even like 100 and something on Amazon. I'm not really sure what the fuckery that is. I think I paid less than 20. I usually wouldn't buy a book that was more than like $15 or something, unless it was like, you know. So I don't remember how much I paid, but there is a free PDF online, and we did link that inside the Deprogram Lounge if you're in the community. So yeah. I like to have hard copies because I like to highlight. Yeah. I like to highlight them, and then I can also like put in little markers. Like if I want to like tell you something about it, like here's a little marker. Oh, this little marker's on the Emperor is naked. That's how I see 12-step. I'm like, bro, we all know AA is naked. Like the Emperor has no clothes, right? But we're not allowed to talk about it because then we're the crazy ones.
Right.
I get called crazy like every day. I'm like, dude. Emperor's naked. Like,
crazy and a murderer every day, you know, killing people every day is what I hear.
Killer. No, I don't want to make light of that because people do die from addiction, and we all know people who are no longer alive because of it. So I really empathize with that perspective. I just don't agree that it's true because it doesn't work if you work it, which is what we're unpacking here today.
Right.
Oh, okay. So then someone is saying here, I wish I could get the book AA, Who It Helps, Who It Harms, Who It Kills. Kirsten, how did you get it? I got it on Amazon. I don't have a hardback copy. I have it on my iPad. So I read it on my iPad. I believe it is, you know what? If you are on my YouTube right now, Sobriety Bestie YouTube, I believe it's the second link. The first link is for the community, Deprogram Lounge. The second link is for Deprogram Books. If you click on that, it'll take you to an Amazon page I created with all the deprogramming, critical thinking, and cult recovery books. It is on there. And the last time I checked, it goes through and you could buy it. And it's less than, I don't know, I think all the books on there are less than $20. But you know, things change. Kate says, Bill W., the Emperor is naked.
Billy.
Yes, he's naked. 12 step is naked. But it is. It's like the emperor. It's funny because I thought that I'm like, that's like when the emperor had no clothes, that whole like fable or whatever. And then but you can't talk about it because you're supposed to like be part of the con, or like you delude yourself into thinking that it's real because you're told it enough. Because right, propaganda, as Hitler taught us, is you say really simple things over and over and over again, and then people believe that they're true because it gets emotional, not logical. So we start to believe it works if you work it, even though most of the people who come bounce right away, like 95% of the people who come bounce within the first year. So point number 2, a system that blames the user for failure is not a working system. When something doesn't work, the AA doctrine doesn't question the model. It says you didn't work hard enough. This is clearly not science. It's like some sort of loyalty preservation belief system. It's to keep people believing that it works, even though all the evidence is like emperor's freaking naked. Like it's not working for the majority of the people. It's not working for. So most systems do not blame the user if there's a problem. They update, it's called like a bug, right? So
Yeah.
they update the bug in the software because there's an issue. It's not a user problem. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's so the way that it just that idea has infiltrated treatment, right? Like we have this multi-billion-dollar treatment industry where we have just accepted that if someone goes to treatment a whole bunch of times, one time, 20 times, whatever time, and it doesn't work, it is not the fault of the treatment. It is 100% the fault of the person. Either they didn't want it bad enough, they didn't work it hard enough, they didn't surrender. Like that has gone way into society, and what people believe and think about people who struggle with the substance use disorder is that it does work if you work it, whatever that looks like to what other people think. Nobody ever questions, what are we doing for the help? What is this help that's not working for people? Nobody questions that. Everybody just looks at, oh, you didn't work it, you didn't want it, you didn't, always blaming the person. It drives me nuts.
Totally. So we got Mr. Pug here. What's up, Mr. Pug?
Mr. Pug.
Good evening to you. I suspect a lot of people who go to meetings know the emperor is naked, but they just go for the community, like people who go to church who don't really believe in religion. 100%, I agree with you that maybe most people aren't full-on true believers. But also, the more that I've studied thought reform and, essentially it's mind control or brainwashing, right? It's difficult. If you keep getting in the shower, you're going to get wet, right? And the shower's, if you keep walking into the shower when the water's on, eventually you're going to get wet. You could only dodge so I don't know that it's possible to continually to be exposed to the propaganda without some of it seeping into your brain. I think that we're really vulnerable. Our minds are, and we start to water it. And look, I might not be, this is just my feeling, right? And so I think if we keep exposing ourselves to these harmful ideas or the ideology, that some of it's going to get in, and some of it is going to become come into our thinking, that it's just we keep getting hit with it. We're going to slowly, like that frog in slowly boiling water. That's kind of how I look at it. And that's why somebody asked me on a YouTube comment or somewhere, a comment, would you ever go to a friend's sobriety birthday and celebrate a milestone with them? And I was like, yeah, of course I would celebrate a sobriety milestone with a friend. But if you mean, would I go to an AA meeting with them to celebrate their birthday? Hell no. I'm not going into an AA meeting anymore because I don't want to drink the poison. And I don't think that you can actually take a sip of the AA water, like go to a meeting without having that poison be coming towards your brain. I don't want to have to be defensive the whole time and be like, this is bullshit, or even here. I don't want to expose myself to it. Just like if there was poison in the water, knowing it isn't going to prevent it from getting in my body if I drink it. So I think that I don't want to expose myself to the baloney. I might even just be like annoyed and maybe even angry to hear it versus it actually steering me. Now that, because once you see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when you were saying that, it reminds me of the AA's slogan I used to hear about, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Hang around AA long enough, you're gonna get indoctrinated. Yeah, bring it home, Burnie. Weekend with Burnie, man. It's so good.
Because even when you think about it, when the program wasn't working for me, when I left, when I wasn't going back, I was still recommending it to people, right? Because I had heard it for so long and really believed, well, it's got to be me. I did something wrong. It didn't work for me, but it's going to work for everybody else who really works it, even though I knew I really worked it, but it still didn't work for me. But I was so convinced that it would still work for everybody else. Like, that's ugh. Mr. Pug said, yes, I 100% agree. There's a process by which we absorb ideas from the environment. Yeah. Harry said, ideology drives folks crazy. Gaslight, it's a sales close, similar to great films, which often have the aspect that is not real feeling, that we buy into it. The Letters of Transit and film Casablanca.
Okay. So number 3 here. Oh, and obviously when a system blames the user for failure instead of looking at the system is without fault, right? The system always works, because more of the indoctrination that we hear, and if you just hear it once, that's one thing. But when you hear it every time you go to a meeting, when you hear something like trigger warning, incoming old indoctrination, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. That's part of the indoctrination of it, under the umbrella of it works if you work it. And then there are those, who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves, blaming the newcomer, blaming the member instead of blaming the system. So the system is never wrong, the person is. So I jokingly talk about the cult rules. I think I read number 1 somewhere. It wasn't like my idea, but cult rule number 1 is we're not a cult, right? Nobody really thinks they're in a cult unless you wake up and you're like, oh shit, AA is a cult. And then you start to work on your way out, right? And then cult rule number 2, and this is not like law, I'm just kind of, cheekily, this is how I see it. Cult rule number 2 is, you're wrong. Whatever the fuck we're talking about, you're wrong. So you drank, it's you. You didn't have a spiritual awakening, it's you. You didn't work it right, because it works if you work it. So you didn't work it right. Yeah. So no matter what, it's you. So maybe the things are like, you weren't honest enough. You didn't do all of your amends. You didn't turn it over. You didn't surrender enough. You didn't go to enough meetings. You didn't have enough sponsees. You were selfish to the extreme, self-will run riot, whatever the fucking bullshit is. But the underlying thing is, no matter what you say, it's you. You are the problem. It's never the system. And that's extremely harmful. Period. Not even my opinion. That's fucking harmful. When you walk in vulnerable as fuck, coming in, maybe you're coming off some sort of medication or drugs or alcohol, post-acute withdrawal syndrome, your nervous system is dysregulated AF, and you're insecure, you're at a low in your life, a bottom, if you will, and they're saying, if you're not doing it right. So you already have all the shame, and now they're putting more shame inside you, when the truth is 5% of the people are going to succeed, but they're telling you 100% do. And if you don't, it's because you have a problem.
Yep.
What?
Yep. And people accept that. People accept, well, they'll say, well, I know the success rate's low. I know there's, but that's because people don't want to do X, Y, Z. That's because people don't really want it. That's because people don't really surrender. That's because people don't want to do the work. Like the vibe of the community that does accept that it has a low success rate still blames it on the person, and it's still like, well, yeah, we know that, but that's because people don't want to do the work. It's like, what? Mr. Pug said, no matter how hard you work it, it's never good enough. 100%. 100%. I mean, it's always to push you down, because you can't have too much. You can't feel too good about yourself, because that's not good for you, Ugh, Green Mountain Mama said, I can't believe I nearly shot myself in the face because AA didn't work for me, and I believed it was my fault. Grr. I mean, so many of us believed it was our fault that it didn't work, you know, because we see the few people in the room, what's that called? Like survivorship bias. We see the people that it is working for, and then we're like, oh, well, there's something wrong with me because it didn't work for me. And it works if you work it. And we hear all of the things, and then you just get stuck. You get stuck in this feeling of like, why is my best not good enough? And that's what I've said to some of these 12 steps. I said, listen, let's say that's true. Let's say that people don't work it, right? They get something wrong. If people's best isn't good enough, then the program is still shit, right? Because these are people who want it. And so if what they're doing, if what you have designed and laid out in this program is not working for majority of people who want it, there's a fucking problem, you know?
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I also want to say, Green Mountain Mama, if this is reality and not a metaphor.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Like, I'm really sorry that that's where it took you, you know, and I feel really sorry for all the people that I know that were also in that experience. I have so much empathy for the people that this is true for, if that's including you. And, you know, there's people that are no longer here that I believe that this was their reality, that the harm of it works if you work it, and then believing that they're at fault because it's not working. And then also the people who barely survived AA or 12-step NA, whatever, and lived to tell about it, and were either they tried to take their own life and it didn't work, or something happened right when they were trying to, and it was because of the harm inherent in the system, and that by leaving the system and getting it out of their head and getting actual help by actual like professionals, that they actually got better and thrived. So I don't want to take this thing lightly if this is actually true. And this is one of the most horrific parts to me about the ideology, is that the people who it's not working for, because it doesn't work really, they don't all survive.
No. There's real harm, and people, anytime you talk about the harm in the rooms, people don't even think about that. Their automatic assumption is to go to like 13 stepping and SA, but they don't realize that people have lost their lives, have almost lost their lives, have barely survived that ideology, that programming. People, like, it's not even on people's radar, you know, but it's very real.
Yeah.
Kate said, my sponsor used to tell me that the problem was that I was not living the steps and need to stop using the word work it. Things for me got even worse after that. That's always something. You're always doing something wrong, you know? Nope. Don't work it, live it.
Yeah, you got to practice those principles in all your affairs. Yada, yada, yada. Totally. Green Mountain Mama says, I am much better today. Thanks to people like you. I'm really glad to hear it. I'm really glad to hear it. And yeah, I think, like, for me, what the first crack in my brainwashing was when somebody that I knew, and in Bali, the fellowship of AA is super small. It's less than 100 people. So, and there's 2 meetings a day. So, you know, everybody. You might not like everybody, but, you know, we're going to love you till you love yourself kind of bullshit. And his sponsor told him, some of you guys know this story, but his sponsor told him that he couldn't get out. He hired professional help, and his sponsor told him to cancel that help. And so he did, and that he wasn't allowed to get professional outside help, which is professional help for his mental health issues, until he finished his 5th step. And he took his own life before he got there. And now his 3 kids have no father. And to me, that was the first crack in my brainwashing, because I was like, well, how can I be a part of a group that I mean, we had this whole ceremony on the beach in Bali with like a Balinese priestess and stuff. And I'm like, in my opinion, I'm like, AA killed him. Like, this isn't right. This isn't right to tell people that they can't get, you know, that AA works, and you don't want to water down AA's working because with outside professional help, literally not everybody survives that. It's incredibly dangerous. So when people say that I'm killing people or that I'm dangerous, I'm like, bro, you don't even know what you're talking about, because they think, and this is my perspective, they think But the people who in AA, the funerals that they go to, are because they didn't work it right.
Yes.
Because it works if you work it. They're not realizing that 95% of the people fail. The majority of the people it doesn't work for, but you're telling them it does. So you're gaslighting them that you have a solution when you don't, and then it's not working for them. And then they are hopeless now. And what does a hopeless person do? Because what is depression is when the future you can't see a better future.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to go here, but here we are.
I know. But I mean, that is where it works. If you work, it takes you. Yeah. That is very real. Like, it sounds like such a simple little, like, it works if you work it. But when you fully believe that and you are doing all of the things and it's not working for you, that is where it takes people, you know? Dee said, Tara and Kristen, great work advancing this conversation in a serious and compassionate manner. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, sometimes I don't know how to talk about this stuff because it is heavy stuff. And there's people that have some really heavy and raw shit around it, you know? It can be intense for sure. Like right now, like my heart's like, you know?
Yeah, I'm like on the verge of tears even. I'm like really thinking about it, you know, like it's really this, if we really go beneath the, you know, because on the surface you have the 12-step trolls that are like, it works, it worked for me, therefore it works for everybody. And it's like, bro, you realize that your independent experience is not universal. Like, that's not how statistics work. You don't need to like be smart up on stats to know that one individual anecdotal experience does not imply the entire population has the same experience as you. What are you, 3 years old? Like when you went like this, your mom really disappeared. Like, like what kind of like, that's okay. Maybe that is self-centered in the extreme when you think your personal experience is everybody's experience, bro, just because it worked for you. And so, yeah, I mean, but underneath that is that like the people that believe that it's supposed to work for them and that it doesn't, and what that means for, I don't even want to call it recovery, because I don't even look at AA as recovery. I look at it as cult religion. It's a religion. It's a religion masquerading as a recovery program that does help maybe 5% of people abstain from alcohol. But would those people abstain anyways? Because another one of our points on my little points over here, we're going to skip to it. Well, let's just go in order because I'll just get confused otherwise. Okay, so number 4 is, number 3, a high dropout is not a lack of willingness. It's a lack of efficacy. The majority of the people leave within the first year, like 95%. Most are not unstable, unmotivated, or unwilling. They simply don't improve, or they recognize the harm and quietly walk away. I would imagine, my assumption, which is only as valid as my opinion, right? Which is not very valid, but my opinion, most people walk in and say, what the fuckery is this bullshit here? I'm out, and bounce. They hear the slogan, they see it for what it is, and they're like, I'm out. This is crazy. This is bananas. And they bounce. That's my guess, right? Your guess is as good as mine, right? Because I was in the cult for a decade. So that's my guess now. When I look at it, I'm like, oh, they saw it all and they're like, I'm out. I saw it all and stayed because of the love bombing. I could really use a love bomb when I was, fresh out of rehab, and they swooped me up and love bombed me. So I stayed because of the love bombing, because of the connection. And that's how I got roped in. And then I got indoctrinated in the 90 and 90 indoctrination boot camp. That worked. About 90 days in is when I was like, oh, if that's an alcoholic, I am one. But now I think the guy was, ADHD and autistic, and that's what I was relating to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't relate to the people who left, right? Because when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is the answer. This is what I have to do. But man, am I jealous of the majority of the people that left within the first year and didn't get sucked into the whole thing, because it's good for you. But it is interesting to think, like, what was it? Like, what made them leave? But I guess everyone's got their different thing. But it's probably is most people were like, what the fuck is this?
Totally. Okay, number 4, Relapse is treated as a moral failure, not as a biological phenomenon. Modern addiction science recognizes neuroadaptation, conditioning, and extinction learning. That's why I love the science of Sinclair method. AA still frames relapse as a spiritual or character flaw. It's your fault because you didn't work it right. Usually it's like you weren't honest enough. But I've also heard you didn't make all of your amends as a reason why you relapsed. Nothing to do with biology, nothing to do with your brain, nothing to do. And that framing actively can worsen outcomes. There are studies that show that give evidence to support that AA actually makes some people worse. That hearing the AA ideology leads to worse outcomes for some individuals because they believe it works if you work it. They believe they have a disease. So now they're hopeless because they have a fatal progressive disease and it's working, but it's not working. So then they're like, well, fuck, my only other option is to check out. And no, we never know. Like, I always want to clarify this. We never know why somebody takes their own life. We just don't. Even if they told you, we just don't know. Like, I just don't think we can totally know for sure. But hopelessness is probably a leading cause, I would guess. And AA is learned helplessness. And then if it's not working for you, there's hopelessness there too.
Yeah. And I really feel I am one of the people that it made me worse, right? Like once I learned all of the things, and then once I believed that I had no control once I put a substance in my body, that definitely made it worse. It made it worse to think like, why can't I do this? Like I am surrendering. I am trying to give my will over. I am praying. I am helping others. I am doing 10, 11, and 12 on a nightly basis. Like what else can I do? Why? And again, it goes back to like, why isn't this enough? Like, how does not wanting it and how does not doing all of the suggestions, how is that still not enough for my brain to still be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? You know, like I was just, I was not okay, but everyone's like, just pray about it. Just keep praying about it. Just keep praying about it. And eventually for me, I can only speak for myself. I was like, I fuck it. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then I'd go out, I'd come back in, I'd hear all the things again. I'd be like, all right, this time I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to make sure I write inventory 3 times a day and just check in with myself and call myself, all the things. And then it was still the same shit. And yet every time I feel like because by the end, it wasn't just going to detox, treatment, sober living. It was psych ward. Then, you know what I mean? Like, it literally made me, for lack of a better word, it made me crazy. It really did. Kate can relate. She said it made me worse for sure. Same.
And I think that's why your story and your message, Burnie, Tara, is so powerful, because I think that's the majority of the experiences, because it doesn't work for the majority of the people. So that's why I think your voice is so valuable in this space, because I think it's more relatable to people who are really struggling with it. And they need to know that, I know it's going to make me cry too, because the most of the people that go, it doesn't work for you to say, like, it didn't work and I left and I'm doing great and I'm not even abstinent, like, and I'm fine. And there is no fucking monster in the corner. Like, that's the norm. The norm is it doesn't work. And the struggling that occurs when it doesn't work, and the in and out of rehab, in and out of the rooms, all of that, that's the norm. That is the norm. But it's people with my story act like my story is the norm, which is I didn't drink after going to AA, not even once, and not after rehab either. I'm not in the norm. I'm in the like stubborn as fuck, whatever the fuck I'm in category, and I'm not the norm. So to preach my story as the norm is harmful. Yes, I get to own my story and share it, and it is my story. But your story is more than speaks to the 95% of the people. That's why I think that your message is so powerful, because it's so relatable. And it's like, it's true. Not that mine doesn't count. Mine, of course, counts. But I hope everyone hears that, like, whatever we've been through is like, our own story and our own journey. But 95% of the people who go, it doesn't work for. So it should say it works for 1 in 20 people should be what we say at the handshake. Are you one of those 20? You might be, but 19 of you aren't. The majority. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they would never. But see, I think it's really important for people that it did work for, like yourself, and people who are, really into actually backing things up with more than just like their experience and looking into things and like really seeing things for what they are. Because like, no, it did work for me, and I still think it's harmful as fuck. Like I think that's really important to bring to the conversation too. And I think that's what's cool is that we did have such different, and we represent the people. People have this is what people are living, but nobody wants to hear it because it works if you work it, baby.
Yeah, they're because if people say you hated AA, you're an anti-AA, I'm like, bro, I loved AA. Literally, I was crying on Bill Wilson's grave, thanking him for my fucking life and saying thank you for channeling. This is my prayer, like at the foot of Bill Wilson's grave. Thank you for channeling the steps from God. I mean, how indoctrinated was I? I believed it. I believed the steps came from God. I didn't realize he copied them from the Oxford group Cult Religion. He borrowed them from Bookman, Frank Bookman. So no, I loved AA the entire time I was in it. I loved it. I totally loved it. And then I realized it was bullshit. It's not true. And I was like, oh, I don't, integrity is, if I don't have integrity, I have nothing. I got to be true to myself. And if it's a lie, I'm out. Peace out. I'm going to go deal with the aftermath now, the deprogramming and the mind fuck of leaving because it's bullshit. And I'm not going to preach bullshit. Now, I might preach bullshit when I don't realize it's bullshit. Like if I'm in AA and I'm saying AA is the way, it's because I don't realize it. But once I see the light, I'm out. Like it's over. So if they say you hated AA, I'm like, no, bro, I loved it. And if they say it didn't work for me, I'm like, no, it worked for me. If you mean abstinent, it worked for me, but it did a lot of other work on me too. It was very disabling for me. But if they say to you, like, you're powerless, you're like, no, I'm not even abstinent and I'm not powerless. I'm fine. Like I'm in choice, bitch. Like, so we can like combat like so many of like, it's just not true.
Right.
And it's so individual. There is no, like anyone who says their one way is the way, that's like giving cult. Not that everyone who says that this is the only way is a cult, but it's a cult vibe. Yeah. Let's see. Sarah says the self-fulfilling prophecy podcast you just put out was so good and so true. Oh yeah, I think that's the one with Rainey. Rainey went to one of the same treatment centers as Tara, different years, different graduating classes, if you will.
But same indoctrination camp.
Yeah. Okay, and Green Mountain Mama says 30 years of alternating between suffering with chronic or chaotic use and suffering with AA. It ate my life. So happy to be free. Glad you're free. Yeah. Rick says, what up, Rick? Good morning. I'm in the stubborn as fuck class too. I'm pissed off that I made my decision on the day, but I kept coming back for 7 years. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to process this. I mean, I can feel the same way depending upon where I let my thoughts go about the 10 years I spent in AA as far as like a waste of life, like, all that. And yeah, there's a lot of grief. There can be a lot of grief. Where I'm at now today is that I do feel really excited about how I feel intellectually, my intellectual understanding of things, my embodied, like visceral experience of having been culted and deculted and still deculting now or deprogramming. I love all that it's been teaching me about the brain, the mind, addiction, the world, manipulation, all of the things. I wouldn't trade who I am now for anything, but in hindsight, I never would have gone, right? I would never, if I could go back, I wouldn't have gone. But I also feel very excited for my current understanding of just, I guess, life and psychology and all of that. It's priceless. So it was an expensive decade-long price tag to pay, but
Yeah. Kate said, I loved AA while I was in it, but in the last year or so, I had the epiphany that I was really messing up my mental health, and it had been for the whole time. And that's the thing too, is even though I was struggling, I still loved it because I was like, aren't I so lucky to have this guide to living that if I can just get it right, like this is everything I need. Look at all this community. And it's like you know that vibe. It's like, oh, like we're so lucky to be an alcoholic or an addict because real people don't spend this much time, working on themselves and looking at their character defects. Like there was still so much that I loved about the program, even though I was still struggling like all hell because I thought it was such a gift, because that brain was washed, baby.
Yeah, the brain was washed. And then what's the okay, another clue. Okay, here's how you can tell someone's in a cult without realizing they're in a cult. My brain needed the washing. Anyone who says, okay, it's brainwashing, but my brain needs the washing. I'm like, that's part of the brainwashing. That's literally part of the indoctrination, that we need the brainwashing. It's not a cult, but I need the brainwashing. That's like, I don't know. Sounds like propaganda to me. A way that you like break free from that's a bad thing. You claim it as if it's a good thing. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Okay. Then we have number 5. If the treatment worked, it wouldn't require lifetime dependency. So this is what I like to call forevery. If the treatment worked, if it works, if you work it, it wouldn't be forevery. It wouldn't be a forever recovery model. When I was like, oh, and I might have just made this up. Sometimes I make up things so I can help myself understand the world better, like leaving AA, because there's not a fucking roadmap. I was like, oh, it's a forever recovery model. So that epiphany for me, understanding that AA is a forever recovery model, helped me break free from this idea that to leave is to die, because AA is like, you have to stay forever for your daily reprieve. Otherwise, you're untreated alcohol, dry drunk, all these things, and you are going to go pick up again. And if you drink, you're going to get arrest, jails, institutions, or death, right? You're going to die. My fear was I was going to die. So part of the way that I uncoupled that from my brain of to leave is to die is I realized, oh, they're preaching a forever recovery model. Not all models, because it's not a truth, it's a model. Not all models are forever recovery. So forevery is an AA thing. In fact, recovery generally, whether we're talking about a broken leg, as y'all know, I'm becoming a broken record on the broken leg thing, but recovery is temporary. That's like anything that's big is large. It's like by definition, like recovery is temporary. So, okay, here's the next discussion point, or talk about whatever you want. But if the treatment worked, it wouldn't require lifetime dependency. Most evidence-based medical treatments include coping skills, trauma healing, harm reduction. AA structurally requires lifelong participation to avoid failure, devastation, doomsday, death, all of the threats that are inside the big book.
Yeah. It sure does. And I know there will be some people who are like, well, I only go to like one meeting a month now or whatever, but you're still in the belief system that if you don't stay spiritually fit, if you don't keep working these steps and working with others, that your disease is going to come get you. So like they always talk about how like, oh, it says recovered in the, it's like, it says you're recovered, but are you really recovered if it's a forever thing that you are constantly having to do to stay okay? Like, yeah. I surely don't think so. Like, go back to the broken leg thing. Once you break your leg and it heals, you don't have to like keep doing, walking with crutches to make sure that it doesn't break. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah.
And it's a book. It's not a universal truth. Like if I drop this hair tie, which I don't even know why I'm holding, I'm just like maybe like stem toy. I'm just like pulling it apart under here. You can't see. So if I'm holding a hair tie, I know because it's a universal law. If I drop this, if I let go, it's going to fall. That's called a universal truth, right? Every time I do it, there's not once, unless I'm in space, like in a rocket ship or something, it's going to fall. That's a universal truth. AA, the big book, it's not like that. It's not like every time I do it, it's going to be 100% of the time, it's going to follow universal truth. It's not fact. It's fiction. It's mythology. It's a sales letter. It's a sales pitch. In my perspective, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is Bill's sales pitch. He got expert sales. I have the writing of the Big Book, and in there it says he co-wrote it with people who were like superstar salesmen of the time. It's a sales pitch. That's how I perceive it now, that the Big Book is a sales pitch selling religion as a solution to alcohol addiction. Because Bill had a psychedelic white light God experience. So now he's pretending that religion's the answer, but really, what is psychedelics the answer? Because if we're doing a Bill did, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Just made up something else and said, well, this isn't really what I did, but hopefully it should work for you and for every, for every person that needs help. This should work. It really is crazy when you think about it. Nelson said, "I'm in choice, bitch." Sobriety bestie.
Now get to work, bitch. It's gonna work if you work a bitch. It doesn't work if you work a bitch. It works for 1 out of 20 people if you work a bitch. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, I'm not saying burn the church basement down. All I'm saying is let's be honest. Like, why are we lying to people? Because I think what I perceive is that there's this idea that the ends justify the means, which is super culty. And it's that we know what's best for these dumb, drunk people. So we were going to coerce them into this system without being honest, transparent, or telling them the truth for their own good. I know better than you, so I'm going to lie to you to get you into a system. That seems to be what people are saying. They're saying it in a lot kinder or more manipulative terms that aren't straight up just saying that. But it's kind of what it's giving is that we have to tell them this because otherwise they're going to die. Yeah. But it doesn't work. So if you just said it works for 1 out of 20 people, maybe try a more effective approach first. And if you've tried out the ones that like work for like 8 out of 10 people or whatever, and you want to come this route, okay. But look around the basement. There's 40 people in here. 2 of y'all are going to stay sober for a year. So if that's not you, just know it. You can keep trying. You can keep working it. But it's 1 out of 20 people.
Right. And it's 1 out of 20 people, not because those people don't want it and aren't working it right. It's just that's what it is. Even with the people working it, it's like the ones that will just excuse that bad, that bad outcome will be like, well, yeah, but then they blame it on the people for it being that bad. Well, yeah, it's that bad because addicts lie, alcoholics don't want, you know what I mean? Like it's all of those things.
Yeah. And maybe some of them don't want it. Okay. So that's probably true. There's probably like 100 or hundreds of reasons why it doesn't actually work. The main reason I would say is because it's literally not a recovery program. It's literally a religion. I mean, no other recovery program is like filled with like atonement, surrender your will and your life to God, confession, like seek God's will in all of your actions. Like it's literally a religion. It's not a recovery program. Recovery programs are like, okay, you're going to get triggered. Here's how you cope with triggers so that you don't use alcohol. Like the kind of practical things that we understand about modern science to help one recover. That's like saying strapping somebody to a chair is recovery for a broken leg. Okay. But what about a cast and crutches, like in physical therapy?
Yeah. I don't know. Sarah said, I thought I was too good to be brainwashed, like I was a smart person or something. Wow, such an idiot. Not an idiot. It's just the program's doing what it does. I mean, I think majority of us prior to walking into that room, those doors would say like, no, like no one can brainwash me. Like we would really think that. But then once you get submerged and the cult starts culting, then it's happening, but you don't even realize it. And that's what makes it happen, is that you don't realize it.
We don't really get it. And we think that we're not vulnerable. And that's part of, I think, the I'd say maybe it's ignorance or arrogance of the human mind. because I thought the same thing. I think that we tend to think that we're invincible, or that we're not susceptible or whatever. And I think ironically, that's what makes us more susceptible in a way, because we think that it's not going to affect us. So our guards are down because we think that, we're not looking, I don't know. So I thought that, and what would have been a better strategy in hindsight is actually looking at brainwashing, doing the research on what it is, what it looks like, and then figuring out what that might look like inside AA. And then with that knowledge, self-knowledge does not avail us nothing. And if I took that self-knowledge and then I kind of knew what it was, now I know what the brainwashing is. Now I know it works if you work it as part of the brainwashing. I didn't know that. I thought it was a dumb, annoying phrase that people said, well, they held hand and prayed at the end of the meeting. So I left every meeting my first year like 5 minutes early because I wasn't going to say the Lord's Prayer. Like, go fuck yourself. I'm not praying with you guys, and I'm not touching, I'm not holding your hand. I'm not joining your bullshit. I don't want to be in the religion. And then eventually, I kind of got over that, or got indoctrinated further. But yeah, the indoctrination is it works if you work it. So I want to read a little bit really quickly from, it's called Resisting 12-Step Coercion, How to Fight Forced Participation in AA, NA, or 12-Step Treatment by Stanton Peele, Charles Booth, and Archie Brodsky. I hope I didn't.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 50.
Okay.
And this is from the 90s, right? So let's just hold that like as the truth as I read this. So the second paragraph down, but even this 5% success rate is questionable if AA's success in dealing with the alcohol problems is defined as the very modest level of 1 year's continuous abstinence. And then it skips a little bit further too. It appears to be no better. This is an interesting fact here, or point. It appears to be no better than the rate of spontaneous remission, which has been estimated to be at anywhere from 1% to 33% per year for those with alcohol problems. If this is, and then AA's recovery rate of 5% or less could be lower than the rate of spontaneous remission, which means literally doing nothing. Then I highlighted one line over here because I think it's so important. Let me know if you can read that. Can you read that one line that I highlighted?
Yes. AA is actively harmful.
Boom. I agree.
Right?
And this little, what sounds like annoying and then it becomes like a mantra, it works if you work it, is how it is actively harmful, because it's a dead out lie. It's a lie. And it works for 1 out of 20 if you work it. I'd be fine with that as a slogan because it reflects reality. There's evidence that support that could be true. And then number 6 is the works if you work it slogan reverses the burden of proof. Instead of proving that the method works, the method is just proving you fail. It's proving that you failed. So they're just saying it works if you work it without proving that. They're saying if it's not working for you, it's because you didn't do something. That's their proof that it works if you work it. So it's not logic. It's backwards. It doesn't even make any sense. But remember that first thing that we read in the fascism book about Hitler, how he's like, the goal of the orator should not be to convince the intellect, but to sway the will. Reasoning does not attract, emotion does. Doesn't it feel good to think it works if you work it, that there's a solution to your problem? It feels good, but intellectually, it doesn't make any sense. You look around the room and you see people don't come back. You know that people are raising their hand, getting another chip as a newcomer. You're seeing evidence of it, but reasoning does not attract, emotion does.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, even as somebody who was literally just felt like I was going insane trying to make it work, hearing it works if you work it was comforting, because I thought that I just had to get it right. There was just something I was missing. And once I figured out whatever that was, that this was going to work for me. So it did get my emotion, and it did, keep me committed to something that wasn't working for me, because it works if you work it. So obviously I'm just not working it right. So I got to figure out whatever that is, and then it'll work for me. So yeah, totally. 100%. I can never say that first word right.
Nelson says, coercing the most vulnerable gives me the spiritual heebie-jeebies. 100%.
Yeah.
Cassandra says, life can get better. We just misguided the cause. AA didn't save you. You saved you. Yeah. Blue Butterfly says, it's even more damaging and dangerous to go back into AA after starting the deprogramming process. Ooh, say more. I would love to hear this.
Yeah.
This is not my experience. Also, Blue Butterfly, keep your eye out on your mailbox. A copy of my book may be arriving on Friday. Okay, then we have, I remember having the will not happening to me thinking to. I'm a little, could you say more? I'm not following that exactly. Kate says, my brother was in a cult and I had even read about cults before going to AA and still I couldn't see it. The vulnerability clouds the judgment. 100%. I knew it was a cult when I walked in. They told me that I needed brainwashing. I knew it was a religion when I walked in. They said, no, we're spiritual, not religious. And then continued to say, you need to get God in order to live. So it's the group think, the pressure of it when you're so vulnerable. Talk about the heebie-jeebies, right? The vulnerablest I've ever been in my life, really. Well, going to AA and leaving AA is probably in there, the top 5, right? And they're giving you belonging and connection, which feels healing when you're at your most vulnerable or one of your most vulnerable, but all under the guise of you have to think like us. You have to believe all this stuff. And then they're telling you bullshit like it works if you work it instead of it works for 1 in 20 if they work it.
Yeah. And then when you're getting the messaging also from treatment, when you're literally going to the place to get help and they tell you this is what you should do, this is the path for you, when you go to counseling and they tell you, oh, well, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic, well, you should go to these meetings. So all of the messaging is telling you that this is what you're supposed to do, and nobody's saying, by the way, it's also a cult religion. You're not hearing that anywhere. You're hearing this is where you're supposed to go. This is what you're supposed to make work. So, I mean, of course, then you add in all of the other stuff. Yeah, we get brainwashed.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just seeing now something from Isabel about what book was that? I think you're talking about this one. So if you're on YouTube right now on Sobriety Bestie YouTube, the second link is to deprogramming books. It'll take you to an Amazon page with all the books that I recommend for deprogramming, critical thinking, and cult recovery. The book that I was just reading out of is Resisting 12-Step Coercion, How to Fight Forced Participation in AA or 12-Step Recovery by Stanton Peele et al. It is like 30 years old, but I liked it. My interest isn't so much in coerced participation, like in court orders and things like that. But there's a lot of statistics in here. But of course, it's 30 years old. But there's a lot of, I don't know, I was really drawn to it. So there's a lot of good different books to read to deprogram from AA. And unfortunately, it's kind of like we all get like a master's in like cult bullshit when we leave, right? In bullshittery. Oh my God, that would be hilarious. To like we could make like a university where we can like earn our master's in bullshittery so we can like free our minds from the cult of 12 step.
Oh, I would love that. If there was at least a certification program for it, I would love that.
I'm certified in bullshit.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Kate says, I was in those rooms over 10 years and I saw no progress in the members with more years than me.
I know, because that also, like, it works if you work it. What are we working? Like you said before, like, okay, the program works. What is, like, it works, makes you not drink? Like, because you can still be a complete scumbag piece of shit person and technically the program is working for, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, it's I don't know.
What is up, Harry? For exit trauma, any therapy suggestions? IFS. Yeah. So are you speaking about my exit trauma video inside the Deprogram Lounge, like the Deprogram course that's all free? I think that's what you're referring to, but I don't know if you're the same person that was in there commenting. Yeah, for exit trauma, the way that I see AA is it's a cult religion, right? And so when people leave cults, it's called exit trauma. And there's very specific ways that we can be traumatized by cults and experience that trauma when we leave. Not everybody who leaves AA is traumatized. Trauma is just our nervous system's reaction, right? So it's very individual. It depends upon a lot of things. But there are like ways that that pattern plays out. And so if maybe I'll put it on YouTube, but I do have a video on exit trauma that's free inside Deprogram Lounge. First link below on YouTube. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like a commercial. I just want to let you know where all the resources are if you're watching, because I don't want to have you have to ask questions or not know where to get it all. So what kind of therapy do I recommend? Well, I can tell you what I did and what I love about what I did. I don't know what anybody should do. But I'm happy to share like what's worked for me. Okay, Harry. So I actually did learn about IFS, which is internal family systems. So I left AA April 2020. And one of the things that I did in a couple months after leaving AA, it was pandemic vibes, right? Things were closed down. I was in Indonesia. The Bali, the island was closed. The airport was closed for like 2 years, but everything else was kind of open, except the beach was closed for a couple months. But so what I did was I hit the books hard. I love studying. I'm like a nerd always. And I'm not a therapist, but therapists have to do, at least my understanding is they have to do 30 hours of continuing education every 3 years to keep their license. And maybe that's just by certain states, and maybe that's just certain American states. I don't know. But for context, they do 30 hours of training every 3 years. And I was like, right, well, I could do that like in a day because I'm fucking weird. So I did like 10, 12 hours a day of these therapy trainings for months, literally for months. I did every course I could find about trauma, about addiction, about anything. And so that rolled me into IFS, internal family systems. I did 2 trainings in internal family systems. So I taught myself how to do it. And then I did it on myself. I didn't do it with an actual therapist. I actually considered like getting certified in it. And I was like, no, easy does it, Tiger. Like you already know what it is. But I really, really loved it. When I left AA, it was the therapy model that made the most sense to me. For anybody who doesn't know internal family systems, just very briefly, it's like parts work. So there's a part of me that's angry. There's a part of me that's sad. There's a part of me that, is not having a need met. There's protective parts. There's vulnerable parts. And so the way that I understood it is that I kind of close my eyes and I separate myself from my emotional experience of anger, of shame, of whatever. And I cultivate a relationship with that part of me so that when I'm actually doing that, I'm in a different part of my nervous system, like a different part of my brain. I'm not reliving the trauma. I'm meeting that trauma with compassion, my own compassion. The way that I look at it is I'm giving myself the love that I never got then. A younger part of me is acting out emotionally, and I'm giving my younger part present day Kirsten love in order to heal it. And my understanding of the science on that is that when I'm, forgive me if this is like boring or not relevant, but this is to answer the question. So when I'm in that space inside my mind where I'm holding that part of me, that younger part of me, that emotional part, I'm holding it with compassion and I'm hearing it, I'm listening to it, I'm letting it speak, then I am actually burning new pathways in my brain instead of reliving the story of the trauma, which only makes the trauma stronger as far as I understand. I'm actually building a new neural pathway. I'm cultivating a new relationship with that part of myself that was hurt. And that is my actual healing. That's how I resolve it. So I like internal family systems because my understanding of it is that it resolves trauma. It doesn't perpetuate it. You're not in a basement always talking about your pain or whatever. You go in and you unhook from it, the story of it, and you're creating a new story. You're burning a new pathway in your brain. I love internal family systems. It's what I did on myself because I'm kind of weird like that. I love studying. And so I will read all the things. I want to know how it all works. I don't know. Curiosity. Maybe it's autism. I don't fucking know. It's just who I am. It's how I've always been. So yes, I loved internal family systems, but I don't know what anybody else should do. Like, Tara, did you go through any sort of specific therapy when you left AA? Is there a kind of therapy that you love that you think that would be good for deprogramming?
I literally did all of my deprogramming just from speaking out and thinking that I was like an all pathways recovery person, right? And then I connected with other people who were in harm reduction and I learned about other things. Like when I first started speaking online, like I still thought a disease. Like I was still there, but I was just that there's more than one way to recover, right? Like that was like my thing. And especially because I used cannabis and like that was really my thing. But I had no idea all of the things, right? And then other people told me things, recommended books, you know, started doing some of my own research and just looking into shit and being like, holy shit. And I think for me, the most freeing thing was learning that majority of people don't find success in their rooms, and that majority of people recover without that kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, like, and then that just like opened up this whole new world. And there's nothing specific that I've really done. And I certainly haven't worked with any professionals, and I haven't had any sort of path. It's just been messy and open.
Mr. Pug said it would be great qualification. Tara and Kirsten have PhDs in bilgery. Oh my God.
Make my mama proud.
Okay. Green Mountain Mama says, I drank because of PTSD symptoms, but no therapist would work with me until I had a year of sobriety through AA, which made the symptoms worse. Yeah, it's totally fucked up. 100%. That's a trap.
So
Harry is saying, and talk therapy. So when I left AA, so I studied IFS and did it on myself, and that was super healing, and I loved it, and it was a vibe. And now I just kind of do it naturally because I kind of wired my brain that way. So if I have a big emotion coming up, I might close my eyes. I might imagine having a conversation with that emotion so that I can actually like process through it that way. That's just what I like. Everyone's going to be a little bit different though, what works for them. But as far as and talk therapy, yes. So I hired a therapist when I left AA. I'd worked with her before for childhood trauma. And so I'd already done like 2 workshops with her, like live-in workshops where we all slept together and worked together. And it was like, they were each like a week or like 10 days long on like primal therapy was the first one, and which is about childhood trauma. And then the second one was about like teenager kind of level trauma. So I had already had a working relationship with her. I called her and said, AA is a cult. It's bullshit. Like I need help getting out. Like alcoholism's not a thing. And she's like, I'm glad you finally see the truth. I totally agree with you. Let's do this. And so she was really validating because she's like, no, you're not going to die if you leave. That's obviously a lie. She just wasn't going to tell me that when I believed it. Right. But then I was like, hey, because she's a good therapist. And so she didn't know anything about AA specifically, really, only shallow stuff, but enough to know that it wasn't true. But through working with her, it turns out she didn't need to know all that stuff. I actually did a lot of research on all that stuff. And most of what I researched on AA, I've put free out on the internet. So the information is there now. The rabbit holes will be shorter because it's gathered. At least that's how I look at my Sobriety Bestie YouTube channel. It's like there's a lot of information there. So you can still seek all over the place. But there's also like specific playlists that you can go through to like learn things like the origin myth and AA as a cult. And I don't know, people really love my culty comments playlist because it's breaking down individual culty comments and showing the ideology in them. So I just think, yeah, talk therapy would be great, Harry. And you could also do a lot of the breaking false beliefs, like the deconstruction work on your own through watching the YouTube videos, through thinking things through reading science and understanding that the powerlessness thing is kind of a myth and disease is just an idea, not a reality. Yeah, so it's like a combo, I would say.
You're lucky that your therapist was like that, because I do feel like most therapists, even though they don't know, kind of like what some people are saying in the comments, I think a lot of professionals, even though they don't really know what it's about, still co-sign the hell out of it and still think that people should go because it's everything that they've heard their whole life, you know?
Hey, Tara, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to read this one and like hold the fort down while I go to the bathroom really quickly?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
SSW Custom Sewing said, I found a therapist and just straight up asked, hey, I want to deprogram from AA. Can we work on this? Yes or no? It surprised me how many no answers I was given. Yeah, like what I was just saying to Kirsten is I feel that majority of professionals think, at the least, they think that, okay, maybe AA doesn't work for everybody, but I don't think there are many professionals out there who realize that people would need to deprogram from it. And there's so many things to it. I mean, maybe there's more therapists out there that are aware, but I certainly haven't encountered any of them. I don't think that, yeah, on my end, I can't put up any of the comments, but I definitely agree with well, not agree, but I definitely think that someone else even said it too on here. That's not, you're not alone on that. Most professionals are going to be that way, I feel. That would actually be like that should be, you know how like therapists have their different things that they specialize in on their website? That should like be a category, I think, is like deprogramming from 12 step is one of the specialists, because I think so many people are looking for that. That's not a route that I went. I think you can do it without a professional or without any sort of real method, but I think a lot of people want a guideline and want to work with somebody through it. So it would be pretty cool if therapists could.
That's my specific, sorry, I keep putting my hands on my desk and then the whole thing gets shaky, so don't mind me. Progress, not perfection. My specific interest, and it always has been, is taking complex information or ideas or whatever and simplifying them and teaching them. What this looked like in my past is that most people seem to have like an anxiety around math. Maybe not most people, but a lot of people. It's very common that people say, I can't do math. But really, I believe it's not that they can't do it, it's that they have a story that they can't do it. So they don't really try because they feel like some sort of anxiety about it and then don't put the effort in. So my thing has always been, let me like figure out ways to communicate what I love to people who might feel like a resistance to the information. So when I was in graduate school for statistics, I was a TA at UCLA, and I would teach people math, statistics at college level, right? Who most of them did not want it or did not think they were good at it. So my job, as I saw it, was to share the information in a way that I could get them past their emotional issue, and then we can just have fun with the fucking data, which I loved, right? And so like when I was teaching athletes statistics, all my examples were sports, because now I'm speaking their language. Now they're confused. We're in the sports world. So I really love synthesizing information. And so one of my passions and what I really want to do with this work is I want to keep creating deprogramming resources. I want to synthesize it and make it really easy. And I want to just put it out so that there's the whole like way to move through it, and at least what seems the most logical way to me, like math, right? There's a way to go through it, and that's how my brain works. So I want to compile everything, like, and it's probably going to look like creating like a book or something, because I do have the course and I do have my playlist on YouTube, but I still want to bring everything together. So I'm very specifically interested in about putting everything into a solid way, like a book that you can give your therapist so they can read it on their own time without you having to pay to train them, so they can learn it. Or somebody could get the book and then go through and then like fill things out and like deprogram on their own. So I'm very interested in creating pathways through this trauma or this mind fuckery or this problem, solving this problem for people very logically, very strategically, very specifically. That's my interest. So there is a lot already there, and there's more to come. So those resources don't really exist, but I have every interest, which means I can get my ADHD on board and do the fucking damn thing, right? I have to be interested. So that will be coming. If you have ideas, please DM me. My DMs are open. If you have questions or you want specific things that don't exist, let a sister know, because I have the creative bug still, and that's my interest. I know like Burnie's interest is you do the weekend shows, right? You want to tell us a little bit about that for anyone who doesn't know when you have tables,
like like with the harm reduction stuff. Yeah. So it's one of those things, to be honest with you, sometimes like tabling itself is exhausting because it's so much peopling, but I know that it's kind of like what you're saying with the resources. For me, I know that we need more resources where people are actually, using different substances and such, but aren't, because majority of the harm reduction resources that are out there are in places where your average drug user isn't going to go, right? Like the person who doesn't consider themselves an addict isn't going to go to the needle exchange, right? And to get naloxone, like there's just certain things because of the stigma that people don't want to be seen doing. But majority of people who use substances don't have a substance use disorder, but they still need to use safely, especially with the illicit supply that we have out there. So for me, you know, I know that obviously cannabis isn't something that we really need to worry about, but there are plenty of poly substance users out there. When people go out, they like to roll, they like to, you know, take all different things. So I like to go to these events, provide the information, provide the free naloxone, provide the testing strips, and just give people resources, tell them about Safe Spot, which is an overdose prevention hotline that if you're alone, you call, let them know that you're using, and that way, if you know you become unresponsive, they can get help to you. But I just think that we need to have these conversations, because so much of it is just don't do drugs. Drugs are too dangerous right now. You can't do them. Stay away from them. But that's not reality, right? Like, reality is people are going to use substances. So it's just about having those open and honest conversations. And I would love to be able to get into like treatment centers and in prisons and stuff, but they just have the just say no messaging. Like, well, that's going to encourage drug use, so why are we going to do that? But if we know that majority of people are returning to use, why wouldn't we give them the information, you know? But yeah, that's kind of my special interest.
Yeah. And then we have Nydia says, what's up, Nydia? The therapists today are now indoctrinated into the take inventory of your part culture without even thinking of trauma, family patterns, etc. Totally. Kate says, therapists who are uninformed might think that you want to deprogram to drink and they don't want the responsibility. Yeah, people are all bananas about it, 100%. And then D says, Kirsten, what are your thoughts on Cochrane revisiting their analysis from 2006 and 2020 and completely reversing the course on AA effectiveness? I'm not MS stats, but I have taken a few graduate stat courses. Okay, so I have notes on that actually, because that is, where is my, okay, it's not here. Let me see. That's actually, I have a file called Cochrane Debunk. It's a video that I have a lot of videos that I want to make. I haven't made it yet. So when you look, here's some of my notes on that. When you look beyond the narrow abstinence metric, the article shows that AA does not outperform other treatments, not on total sober days, not on drinking intensity, not on functioning, not on life improvement, not on harm reduction, not on relapse severity, not on long-term consequences. In many measured categories, AA does worse. But what they're showing in that study, and I need to look into it further. So even reading that's before I've thought it through all the way, I've just made a lot of notes on it. They're showing that AA shows the most consecutive absence days in a row, but not the most total number of absence days. So they found a way to record it as effective. So what is effective? Is harm reduction effective? Is total abstinence days effective? What they're considering effective is total days in a row abstinent. And so I feel like that's not accurate. That's not everybody's goal. My goal with sobriety, if I'm going to be honest about what I wanted my consequences to stop. I didn't want to get sober. I wanted to live, because I felt like the consequences of my drinking were going to kill me, right? And so success to me in effectiveness is not defined by AA's lens. AA's lens is abstinence is success. That's not what I think successful is. What I think successful is individual. It's harm reduction, and your harm reduction may be still drinking, or it might be abstinent. But number of abstinent days in a row is arbitrary to me, where it's more absence days total. That's also arbitrary to me. What seems to me to be the most effective thing is reducing harm. Anything else just feels like arbitrary. Like you're making up your view, and you're putting your view on us as if your view is correct. Number of absence days in a row is what that study is measuring. As far as, again, this is a little preliminary. I was reading you some of my notes that I took like a month ago, so it's not fresh in my head, but I do want to make a whole video on why I think that the Cochrane study is misleading. So those are my preliminary thoughts.
And like you're saying about what they're defining as success, right, is numbers of days absence. And I think that majority of us, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do feel like a lot of us who are not abstinent in our journey now in life after chaotic use and life after 12 step is because we are not, like, our mental health is not better when we are abstinent. So if I get 3 months strung together abstinent, but I'm literally like at the edge of my seat pulling my hair out of my head, you're going to consider that more successful than 2 weeks doing really well, showing up for life, and because I smoke a little bit of weed. So it is like the qualifiers of what success is. It's like, yeah, you can be abstinent but still not be better off than you are when you have a little bit of THC running through your blood.
Yeah. And more important than days abstinent in a row, I would think, is resolving of the reason why you were problematic in the first place.
Yeah.
For me, it was dysregulation. It was unresolved trauma, unrecognized neurodivergence. There was a lot of things that I didn't understand about how to optimize my brain and my nervous system. And it really came down to my nervous system. And because I didn't know how to, I didn't have a good strategy to work with my nervous system other than alcohol. Alcohol was my strategy. But mindfulness is a better strategy than alcohol because it has long-term results, right? It can change my brain. So yeah.
And that goes back to that whole thinking that like the use of the substance chaotically is the main problem, when most of us it's either a coping mechanism, a strategy, whatever it is, to something else going on. So when you're looking at it, that is the main thing, then I guess, yeah, the qualifiers would be different, what they consider success.
Sarah says a drug is a drug. And I think that's the eye roll one. A drug is a drug is a drug. So I had somebody say the other day, I think I said this on Thursday's live stream. I had someone say in my comments the other day, AA is the most effective. I'm like, yeah, but it's 5% effective or 10%, where Sinclair method is 78%. And then the other person said, but Sinclair method uses drugs. I don't want to be addicted to drugs. Ha 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 ha. Like as if what I was saying was crazy. I'm like,
I can't.
Go take a Tylenol, bro. Like, what do you mean? Like, are you just saying like you don't ever take anything at all? Like you don't even take caffeine? Like you literally don't take anything? Like, where is your purity? Like, what is this, your religion? Like, I don't know what you're preaching here. Like, does that mean you're gonna have surgery without anesthesia and without antibiotics? Like, what are you fucking saying, bro? Like, what's the problem? The idea that medicated assistance therapy treatment. Medicated treatment. Okay. The idea that medicated assisted treatment isn't valid recovery is AA ideology. That's why my current level understanding, which is still sophomoric, of the Cochrane study, is it's assuming that we all have the same goal, which is number of days abstinent in a row. We don't all have that goal. In fact, I would even say number of abstinence days total is a better goal than number of days in a row, but I don't even think number of absent days total is the goal.
Right.
I think it's harm reduction is the goal. Less blacking out, yes. less binge drinking, less losing your cell phone or whatever the consequences are, right?
Mm-hmm. There's so many things that you can do to get people excited about the path of recovery that don't come down to complete abstinence. Like you were saying, if they have less blackout days, if they, drank more, even just hydrated more, so they were less hungover those days, like those small wins that you can celebrate with somebody to get them to a point where maybe it's not complete abstinence, but they have reduced how harmful what's going on is doing to them,
Yeah, because 100%. Coercive control is not a vibe. It's 2026, people. Something about last year, I kept saying it's 2025, people. We deserve better. But I'm like, now it's 2026. Now we're pretty much in we're beyond Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Where did what year did the DeLorean go to? I don't even remember. Remember Doc Scott, was that his name? And Michael J. Fox, and they had the DeLorean and they went back to the future with the banana peels or whatever the fuck. And when they went to the future, what year did they go to? We've passed that year, right? We're past Back to the Future.
Yeah.
We deserve better.
Definitely deserve better.
Okay. Kate says, that kind of book would be so important, Kirsten. You know what? I was journaling this morning, as you do. Actually, I journaled for 10 minutes about what I want to create, and then I side quested. Do we have any other like neurodivergents here who love all the rabbit holes? So my current rabbit hole that I started yesterday is Winston Churchill. So I spent all this morning learning about Winston Churchill, as you do, because I wake up really fucking early. But before that, I did journal, and I came up with actually I don't know, guys. There's 4 books that I want to write, all on deprogramming, and they're different. And one of them's already written. I wrote it like 7 months ago. I just never did anything with it. So I want to revisit that book. It's an introductory deprogramming. It's just some of the bullshit to like break up right away. I want to do a memoir. I want to do a how-to logical breakdown, which is the one that I was talking about, step by step, like how I would structure it, but go through the book as you want, but in an order. And I think the value of a book versus videos, even though I prefer videos, I prefer it being visual. I learn better that way. The value of the book is that you can highlight it, you can go back to it, you can have journaling prompts and things like that. So you can actually work through it on your own. I think it would be like helpful in addition to therapy if you do therapy, or as its own thing, because then you could unlock yourself, you know what I mean, in your own time, in your own way, in your own pace. So and then I also, because you guys love the culty comments so much, I thought, what if I just have a book that's about culty comments, and it's just all of that, and then I go through it. I'm like, that would actually be really fun. And then that would be like a fun way to do deprogramming. Anyways, I have so many ideas, and I've listed it all out. And so it's coming. It is coming. Yeah, we have that. You absolutely buy a copy. Yeah, I think there's so much value in just having things in print. And so, yeah, like that's my desire is to put things strategically in. Like, did you guys ever do strength finders where you can find your top strengths, and you do that survey or whatever? Like there was a book about it 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But you can also go online and find your top strengths. No matter how many times I take it, my number one strength on there is strategic, is strategy. So that's the way my brain works. I want to put everything in an order that makes sense to me, kind of like a math problem or like a statistics thing. And that's kind of like what I want to create. And I love that you're harm reduction, Burnie, and that you want to go out and you want to help keep people alive in that way. And I want to, help people get through the mind fuckery. My biggest trauma isn't any of the things that I went through, like the essay when I was a kid or anything like that. My biggest trauma, when I really understand neurodivergence, is particularly autism, but also ADHD. But I think this is specific for a lot of, or most autistic girls and women, is being what I call globally gaslit, where the world is constantly reflecting to me that my reality is wrong. So the fact that AA is a lie really hits the core of like my soul with fuck you, stop lying to us. Fuck you, don't tell me my perception is wrong. Fuck you, don't make me believe lies as if they're true and then live inside that lie castle. Fuck you. So I take the mind fuck very seriously and want to like solve that problem. And you've probably lost a lot of friends. You've seen a lot of things without the harm reduction being there, so we all have our passions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going sidetracked here.
That's okay. Another big thing for me too is, in speaking out about this stuff, is so much of the treatment is based around this stuff. And I think so many people don't even realize there's a problem because of the it works if you work it mentality. So many people don't think there's anything wrong with treatment being 12-step based, or so much of the ideology coming from there. They don't see the problem, because if the person wants it bad enough, they're going to make it work, is the mentality. So it's like people have to hear this shit to realize there's even a problem. Like people don't even think there's anything wrong with treatment. They think that, we just need more, more beds, and people have to want it. Like they think those are the two hurdles. It's like, no, the treatment itself is trash, but people don't even know that. And that's fucking scary. Nadia said, abstinence does not lead to an improvement in quality of life necessarily. That is why the AA sober terminology is dangerous, because people think time equals success. 100%. I say all the time to some of these, as you call them, culty commenters, it's like, you can be 10, 15 years sober and still be the biggest piece of shit. But what makes it so scary in AA land is that you can literally be known for being a predator, but because you have time, that means so much more than the fact that you are a predator because, well, you know, people need to focus on themselves and some are sicker than others. And if that's a known predator and a girl gets a ride home from him, well, that's on her because everybody knows like time is all you need in the rooms to be unstoppable. And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Isabella said, I felt like A told me can't even take a Tylenol, yet would find out others were prescribed Xanax and yet celebrating years of sobriety. So much contradiction. Yeah. Just said, love this idea. What is my goal? New concept to me. Relieves so much guilt and shame. Yeah. There's so much more to if I think that I'm commenting on what you're saying with what is my goal, there's so much more to recovery goals than if you're abstinent, you know, because you, again, I'll say it again, I've already said it, you can still be a trash but shit bag human, but you're abstinent. So what does abstinent really mean other than you don't have anything in your system? That's it. That is fucking it.
Yeah. I don't think I could really be fully recovered from even the recovery ideology. I recovered from my alcohol addiction in a period of time. I'm not sure how long that took, but for sure my brain needed to recover from that, right? Even with cigarettes, there was a period of time recovery. I think it takes a couple of years for my brain to stop thinking about the thing that it was once addicted to. And then I don't even have those thoughts. So is recovery when I stop even thinking about the desire or whatever, or the idea, like I should drink now because I'm having a feeling, or having a cigarette, so I should have I'm feeling frustrated, grab a smoke. Like, so it's a period of time, but I wasn't able to be fully recovered from even some of the concepts in AA until I realized I'm neurodivergent, and I realized that some of what they said I needed to be in forever recovery from was fundamental to my wiring. It's telling me that I need to be, a character defect that my sponsor said I had was essentially what I now know is called monotropic thinking in autism, or hyperfocus in ADHD. It's same. They also call it special interest, but I don't like that term. But it's the same thing, where one track mind, obsession. There's many different words that point to what I would call a very strong ability and capacity to pay attention to something for a very long time when it's of interest, that it becomes like a loop of being rewarded with dopamine and other neurochemicals, where neurotransmitters, where I can stay focused on a topic of my interest, like this morning on Winston, right? Whatever, Churchill, but whatever it is, like deprogramming is a very strong interest of mine. And so, where was I going with all this? Completely squirreled out. Oh, my sponsor called it a character defect. And so I'm supposed to pray away it. And we didn't call it monotropic thinking. And so I'm doing all this work, and it's going to work if you work it. But so I'm in this so-called recovery model. I'm in this religion that's telling me that fundamental parts of how I'm wired are wrong and need to be given to God and prayed away and written on and inventoried on. And I need to go against the stream. I need to swim upstream against the stream, raging rapids. I need to do all this effort instead of just letting go and being who I am. And until I got popped out of AA ideology, I couldn't actually find full-on self-compassion, self-acceptance, and I guess even peace, because I was forever trying to work on something that's not going to be worked on. That's like me inventorying my bones and trying to pray my bones away, or trying to pray my heart away. And it turns out if you don't have a heart, you can't really function, right? So if I no longer have a nervous system, I'm not going to be alive, but I'm trying to pray away fundamental parts of myself as if there's something wrong with me. It gets to this, guilt and shame that's in this comment here. And it's like, it's just the wrong model. Works if you work it. No, I can't accept myself and move the fuck on with my life when I understand myself. And I can't understand myself through a sales pitch. People are here were saying, like Harry says, it's all a sales pitch from your videos. Thank you. Yeah, it's not true. It's ideas. It's old ideas. He's selling his idea that religion is a solution to alcohol addiction, but he's pretending it's spirituality, but he stole religious steps. That's what it is. So choose it. If that's what you want, do it. But let's not lie about what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Isabella said, you said your monotropic thinking is your superpower. And I know a lot of us appreciate all of your research and time that you put into everything that you do talk about, because I'm interested in it, but not I can't sit down. I can't sit down very long, and focus like that. I just can't. But I love that you can, and I love the way that you break shit down, and it makes it easier for me to listen to it and to understand it, even though it's something that I've been talking about for a long time. It's like, oh shit, there's more to it than just like these couple things. It's like there's even more to support this, and then it's just like it makes it that much more exciting. So I definitely agree that it's your superpower, not your character defect.
I was literally praying it away. How fucked up is that? And I tell my story not because it's going to be yours, although it might be yours as well, because I know there's a lot of what's called ADHD, A, big A, little U, D, big DHD, like ADHD and autism. There's a lot of ADHDers out there who realized that they were identifying with other ADHDers inside 12-step, and then they leave and we're like, what the fuck, And so I realized that my character defects that my sponsor told me I had that are actually fundamental parts of me. I know a lot of you have that in your own way. So it might be because you've been assessed as bipolar, or you've been assessed as this or that or whatever. And so some part of you that is probably more fixed, although I hold it all loosely because there's neuroplasticity, but there are parts of us that are a little more fixed than others. And if we were told they're defects and we're on a hamster wheel to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we're wasting our time, when instead we're in the wrong model. We're in a 1930s religion instead of modern medical science, which it's so much more helpful for me to understand I have monotropic thinking and then just go into it, just be how I am and not worry about it, not try to get rid of it, but embrace it and know that I can literally write down 4 ideas for books that I want to do this year and that I can bang them out, and I might not get to all of them, but and to just focus on the thing you want to focus on, and then not worry that I'm, in AA, they're like, it's an obsession and obsessions are bad. Okay. That's like me telling you that being over 5'7" is bad. Well, what the fuck are you going to do when you have a mind that's really good at focusing on one thing for long? Don't pathologize my great ability to pay attention. You know what I mean? So we're getting pathologized for our natural traits, or for our neurodivergence, or for our mental health conditions, or whatever. Not everything is to be pathologized. And I don't like the whole pathology thing anyways.
Yeah. I think we see substance use disorder itself get that way too, pathologized. And I don't think it's helpful for anyone, honestly, but it's just my.
Yeah. Kate says, I have monotropic thinking and was told it was an obsession, and replacing it with alcohol, whatever I was obsessing about. Yeah.
I can definitely see them saying and thinking that. Bonnie said, balance is the most important thing in life. AA wants you to only bow down to and revolve around them. Totally. And then it's like, when I know for me, when I kept going in and out and trying to do it the right way, because it works if you work it, and I just got to figure out how to work it right, I kept taking on these new commitments, these new things, doing all, and it's like, it just wasn't sustainable. Living that type of life was not, I had no time to myself, I was always doing all of these things, and it's just, but like you said, bow down to and revolve around them. Yeah, they sure. I know people think it's not like that, but there are plenty of groups that it absolutely is like that. Dale said 5'8" must be a devil.
But it's it sounds bananas when you say that, making fun of your height as a defect that you need to pray away. But isn't that what a lot of us were doing with a lot of those so-called defects?
Mm-hmm.
No amount of praying away my monotropic thinking is going to be helpful. What's helpful is understanding that that's how my brain is oriented. That's how it's always been. If I look at my entire life, I've always been that way. It's usually been with math. I love numbers. That's just kind of my thing. I love dates. I love things I love chronologically understanding things. I have my brain just works with numbers, and I've always gone all in on that. So I think it's more helpful to find out who we are and to understand some of our, limitations or our challenges, but to go all in on our strengths. I don't think making arbitrary things character defects that are sponsor. Who the fuck is a sponsor? Who are you to tell me what's wrong with me and that I need to pray away? And it turns out it's actually how I am. So that to me is incredibly problematic. And I'm not the only one experiencing that. I think if you're listening, watching the replay or live, that maybe there's things you can relate to too. And that's part of how it's super problematic, making us believe that parts of who we actually are need to be suppressed, given to God, removed, inventoried daily. So what, we can put on a mask and try to act like we're different than we are. Like
that's literally was my AA experience, was putting on a mask and pretending, trying to be this person that I thought I had to be, that the program was designed. That nailed it right there. That was my experience. Hands down. The Muppet named DMO said a lot of people will use your mental health issues to take advantage of you in AA. Yeah, and I hate how too, like you'll have people come in and say like, I'm this and that. Like, well, of course you're that. You were just drinking alcohol, or you were just doing drugs for the past 20 years. Like, that'll go away once you start working the steps and blah 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 blah. No, buddy. Rick Jones said, bring it, Tara. Great point. 1 meeting a month is fear that there's some disease that will kill you. It's all superstition designed by the cult. Yeah.
All right, guys, point number 7. I forgot about our points, but I'm going to get back to the point 7. We got point number 7 here on the points here. Okay, and actually, Tara Grace, you brought this up at the very beginning. You said the words, so we're just going to circle back to the beginning. Number 7 is there's a 5% or 5% success is not recovery. It's survivorship bias. You said survivorship bias at the beginning of this session here. So the visible success stories are the survivors. The silent majority who didn't improve are simply erased. This creates a distorted public narrative. So we don't know who's found a different method and had success. We only hear from the successful people in AA. And so for the people in AA, I know this was kind of true for me when I was in there. When people go out and leave, we know that we're saving them a seat. What is we're saving you a seat means? It means we know you're going to fail and you're going to come back and we're here for you and we're going to love you till you can love yourself again, right? And so it's, oh God, it's so condescending. I want to throw up as I say that. So yeah, it's the survivorship bias that Tara, you kicked us off with.
Yeah, you see the people. I remember seeing the people that it was working for, right? So I'm like, oh, like here it is, like the proof right in front of me. If I just work it, then I too can have what they have. Like, and but I'm not looking at all of the people that I've seen and I don't see them anymore. And because in my mind, well, they're not there. Like you said, they're the whole saving the seat thing. Well, it's not that they're out there and thriving, and I'm sure a shit ton of them were. But in my mind, you're not there. You're using, you're here, and you're sober, and you're in recovery, and you're doing the damn thing, and it's just not true. Just not true.
Okay, so we struck a nerve here because we have, being someone who you are not exactly, and then we have Kate saying, yes, my experience too, creating an AA persona, 100%. Then Kat says, yes, AA uses the same tactics of narc abuse and coercive control that abusers and abusive relationships do. Yes. And then Isabel says, oh, geez, I used to have to fill out a 10-step inventory daily, and it was on an email chain. So I messed up. Like, I would never have time for that. Now I'm a mother of 2 kids and have a life. Yeah. Nydia says, my AA experience wearing a leash around my neck, like one of those electric fences for dogs. Yes. Anytime I got near the edge, it gave me a shame shock and dragged me back in. 100%. My shame shock would be if I talked outside the group think, if I shared something about myself, because after a certain amount of years sober, I couldn't ever present like I couldn't be the mess. I had to be the message. I was allowed to be the mess in the beginning. What's that? That first year's for you, every other year's for the rest of us, everybody else. So I got to be myself and authentic. The first year of sobriety, I was like crying. I was hyperventilating. I was like, I'm anxious. I still had anxiety attacks every day. So I was really honest about that at a certain point in time when they kind of coerced me into speaking. But later on, you have to carry the message, right? You can't carry the mess. You have to show them. You can't be all of you. You have to be the part of you that is okay, that shows that and validates that AA is the way and that AA works.
And it's crazy when I think about how many times I carried the message, but inside I was completely just falling apart. But because I could quote the big book and, say a couple things that sounded good, everyone thought that I was doing okay. But think about how many people, I mean, obviously I'm not going to make assumptions, but I'm sure there are people who are carrying the message who inside do not feel like what they're saying, but because of that mentality and that culture of that's how you're supposed to be, you got people dropping their spiritual grenades and their spiritual bombs, but inside they're completely exploding and not okay.
We got Last Green Man. Good morning, Josh. Good afternoon, Josh. Like there's anything remotely of value or reasonable behind the 12 steps. They are dehumanizing nonsense that are dangerous and honestly just a bludgeon for narcissistic sponsors to abuse people. Yeah, that was one of my first realizations when I left AA was like the first week. It was how abusive it all was. And I went deep into studying things like narcissistic abuse because I felt like if I could understand the abuse that's strategic and like formulaic almost, then I could protect myself. Like I felt so vulnerable and horrified and ashamed and conned and scammed and embarrassed and humiliated. And I thought if I could recognize the patterns of abuse, maybe I didn't have to be here again. Let me lick my wounds, learn from them, and never be here again. And so to never be there again, like the way I felt when I left AA, I would need to learn what happened to me so that I could see it to protect myself next time or in the future. So I studied narcissistic abuse, and a lot of people are relating to that. I know I've seen a lot of comments on it, especially after Rainey's video about him talking about it. I did a video inside Deprogram Lounge, inside the course, which is free, about how AA is like narcissistic abuse. I'm probably going to put that on YouTube. I haven't yet, but yeah, a lot of us, it's just a cookie cutter is what it's called. Cookie cutter. It's like cliche almost. It's like verbatim. There's so many comments. Sorry, guys.
Nadia, I'm not sure if I'm saying anything right, but Nadia says, what is working it? There can be a whole podcast on that. Working it equals insane amounts of service, putting AA above you, your family, your partner, your job, your home, doing the steps 100 times. Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Whatever you put in front of your sobriety, you're going to lose.
You're going to lose it anyway. So you got to, yeah. That is the message. Imagine that. I know a lady, I just happened to end up working with her, but her husband was told to move out of the house that she lived with her two. They were adult kids. They were like in their 20s, because once in a while someone would have drinks and like he didn't like that. So rather than teaching this man how to deal with it, they told him to move out of the house that he lives with his family, and he did it. Like, that's crazy to me. And there's a million other stories that are like that and worse. So yeah, it's fucking insanity.
All right, point number 888. Modern recovery science has moved on. AA has not. We now understand neuroplasticity, conditioning, extinction learning, nervous system regulation. AA still runs on 1930s moral spiritual disease model.
Sure does.
I mean, it's just Captain Obvious that if you were going to go to a surgeon, because they say, but AA is so dangerous, and they make it sound like the false dichotomy of you're either going to be dead or you're going to go to AA. Therefore, it's better to go to AA than anything that you say bad about AA is irrelevant, because AA is still better than being dead. And it's like, okay, AA is better than being dead. most of us, probably not all of us, most of us can agree to that. Life is better than AA. I mean, dead. But it's a false dichotomy because you're not choosing. There's more than two doors. The doors aren't death or AA. There's a lot of other doors. There's one called Sinclair motherfucking method. There is one called spontaneous remission. There was one called smart recovery. There was one called do not join the cult religion. Yeah.
Yeah, just heal is one option.
Okay, so then number 9 is no legitimate medical treatment will be allowed to perform this way. Imagine if 95% of the patients fail and the protocol blames the patient. So imagine if you are told that the surgery works if you work it, but you die in the surgery. They don't tell you that there's like a 10% chance of dying, like some surgeries will tell you that, right? And you could choose, with informed consent, do you want to go through with the procedure or not?
Right.
Informed consent is totally a vibe because it's about fucking choosing. Like let us be grown adults and choose things, but be honest with us about what they are.
Yes.
So you can choose it, but then so if the patient dies during surgery, instead of saying that, well, there was a 10% chance of them dying, then you tell the descendants, you say, well, it works if you work it, so it was their fault. They didn't lay there correctly. Their fault the surgery didn't work.
But seriously, it's madness that we accept that. And even the people be like, oh, well, it's spiritual, not religious. It's like if you went to a doctor, right? And whatever you were having performed, and it was a faith-based thing. And you were like, well, isn't this really? They said, oh, don't worry. It's spiritual. It's not religious. Like if it was a spiritual surgery and not a religious surgery, would you still be okay with that? No, but we accept it just open and shut when it comes to substance use disorder. Like it's not even questioned. Like I was saying earlier, people don't even realize we have a problem because it's just so accepted to blame the person for something that has such an extremely low success rate. It is completely normalized to blame the person for not wanting it bad enough. Like,
I mean, okay. It's so ridiculous. That's like blaming, I don't know, like there's hardly anybody's in the Olympics, right? Out of all the people who are athletic or out of all the runners, there's hardly any of them that are in the top 5%, right? Only 5% of them are in the top fucking 5%. But AA, it's not even like the top 5%, right? It's just 5%, which is also very similar to spontaneous remission, meaning doing nothing. So it would be so bananas to blame all the runners for not being in the 5% who are not in the 5% when only 5% could be in the 5%. And it said, it runs if you run it, you're just not running right. You just need to run. You're not running right. It's like, no, that we would never do that with anything else.
Nope.
Sure won't. Sure don't.
Sure don't. Sure wouldn't. Sure won't. Oh, goodness.
You better work, bitch. You better work, bitch. Now get to work, bitch. Any other Brittany fans, or are we just on our own vibe here on Burnie and Bestie? Weekend with Burnie, Bestie, and Brittany. It's Burnie and Bestie, bitch. Oh my God, should we change your show name? It's Burnie and Bestie, bitch.
That's cute. I like that, but the algorithm probably wouldn't.
Oh my God. Nydia says, but I felt dead in AA. Yeah.
Yep.
And Sarah says, oh, but the spiritual death, that's worse than the death I've heard.
Harry said it works if you're gaslit. Embarrassing. That's, I mean, my opinion is that must be the people that it works for. I don't know, obviously, but if so many of us it doesn't, then well, I don't know, but yeah. It's wild. You sound like the other Burnie with the 5% of the 5%. I don't get it. You sound like the other Burnie with the 5%.
Are we talking about politics here? 5% of the vote?
Oh.
All right. And Kat says, definitely a Brittany fan. I mean, she has her own story of breaking free from an abusive conservatorship. Yeah.
Sure does.
You better work, bitch. You better work the steps, bitch. And I get to work, bitch. Although, didn't she get into 12-step for a hot minute? I think she went to a meeting or two in her day, and Brittany was there. And truth be told, I was hoping I'd see Brittany at rehab when I went to rehab in Malibu. I was like, maybe I get to meet Brittany. You know, she was shaving her head around that era, had an umbrella with all those pictures. And yeah, I mean, the paparazzi really pushed some of these people to the edge, didn't they? Talk about fucking abuse. Okay, so now let's look at number 10. Let's get through the list. This is the last one. Okay, people don't fail AA. AA fails most people. Quietly, systematically, predictably, and then it tells them it's their fault.
Yep. And then they say it in the rooms, you hear it the other way, that AA doesn't fail people, people fail AA, that it's a perfect program for imperfect people. I forget the other one. Like, there's so many things that this is there. You can't fail. Like, this program can't fail you. Only you can fail the program, but it's literally the opposite. Katie and Alex Plus Dog says, it works if you work it. I keep failing and having to dig deeper into the program. I am literally having sponsor nightmares, though, recently. Nearly 1 month out. Oh, Katie. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Did any of you guys see the Christmas special I did on Sobriety Bestie YouTube with Carrie, where Carrie wrote this one where we're like, I'm dreaming of it. And it's supposed to be like kind of like a white Christmas vibe, and we're wearing Christmas outfits. And then she goes, an AA meeting. And then we wake up like panicked. The reason why she wrote that as the beginning to our little comedy skit is because she literally, when we got on the phone to talk about what we were going to do for that video, she literally had an AA meeting the night before and woke up and was like, freaked the fuck out. So I was like, well, we should write that, because I think that's relatable. Like, some of us like leave. Like, I remember when I got sober, I had drinking dreams. Like, for the first, months or years or whatever, I'd have a dream that I was drunk, and I'd be like, it's all a lie. And I'd wake up and be like, wait. And then do I go to the room and tell them that I drank? And it was like this weird panic dream. Yeah. But then she had a dream she was in an AA meeting and freaked out. And for those of you who don't know, Carrie was in AA, I think, for 36 years and left about like 5 years ago. And we do like monthly little podcasts together. But yeah, she had a dream 4 or 5 years after leaving AA that she was in an AA meeting, and it kind of freaked her out.
Nightmare.
She really was dreaming of an AA meeting. Bonnie saw it. Yeah. So that was true facts. I have a question for everybody watching live, or if you're catching the replay. I want to know, what topics would you love to vibe on together as a community like this, for us to bring a little bit of our thoughts in advance, and then for us to also unpack with you as we flow along in time. Please leave your recommended topics, if you have one, in the comments. If you don't feel comfortable commenting, but you have a topic, feel free to DM me, or however you want to communicate that to us. We are, the DJ takes requests. I take requests. You know what's really funny? I used to always go to the rave, like the club that would be playing like dance, like electronic music. And I would always, every time, go up and request Britney. Can you put on some Britney Spears? DJs don't like requests, like at the rave. And sometimes they would, and it would be so much fun because they'd have like a techno or like a house music version of Britney. But yeah, that was a vibe. This was also like a long time ago, but I don't know. I guess like after my era, like I was never into, like, I don't have a problem with not Tara. I don't have a problem with, oh my God, what is her name now? Swift. Why can't I think of her first name right now?
Taylor.
That's right. I'm like, it's not Tara. I've never been a Swiftie. Like, yeah, me neither. She's brilliant. I mean, she's like, she's a great businesswoman. She's very talented. She puts on a show. I like anybody who puts on a show because it's entertaining and stuff like that. She's a visionary. It's creative. Like, Britney was the same way. We were talking before we hit live. like the last Britney concert that I went to was her circus tour. It was on Easter, I want to say in 2009. And it was a show. She was like the ringleader. She had like, you know, the whip and circus, like she's training the animals and the whole thing's done up. So I like people who put on a show. But shoot, how does this, and here's my squirrel shit. How does this relate to Taylor Swift? I totally lost the plot. There you go. This is what you won't see on my channel in the edited videos, because I just edit out the part where I'm like, what? Who was talking?
Yup, same. Oh, Brittany. Yeah, there's some good suggestions there.
Oh, I know what I was saying. So I would always request the DJ to put on Britney Spears. And I feel like the generation after me, like the way that I felt about Britney is like how people feel about Taylor Swift. But the way that I felt in the 2000s about Britney is I loved her. You know, she like there was a lot of songs that were really like meaningful to me. And I think that's how people relate to Taylor Swift now. But I don't have that relationship with Taylor Swift. I have nothing against her. I'm just never been into it. But yeah, I do take requests. We do on Burnie and Weekend with Burnie. We do take requests. So tell us what topics you'd love us to deep dive, because I think it's fun to unpack them together and look at all the angles. And like I always say, I learned so much from the comments. I think we all do.
Yeah. Especially like the idea that so many people have gone through the same shit, you know, that always is comforting to me.
So validating. It's like we kind of all think similar lines about a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, I'm not the only one. Feeling like you're the only one is like such a hard mental health place to be. Am I the only one that feels like that sees the bullshit? Am I the only one that thinks this way? No, there's a lot of us out here. In fact, 95% of us are out here. We're the majority.
Sure are. You said the lie about the fellowship, cliques, cults, abuse, invasion of privacy, forced fellowship. Yeah, there's so much. Another topic: sponsors, the hidden monitor, codependent, narcissist role, control, and coercion. Did I say that right?
I'm writing these down.
Isabel said yes, sponsorship. People want to talk about the old sponsors. The old sponsors. It's like, who the fuck are you to tell me anything? You're a hot mess yourself. But because you have a little bit of time under your belt, you know it all. I was a shitty sponsor myself, though, so I can't talk shit because I was not a good sponsor. I was a bitch. It like gave me a little bit of power, you know, a little bit of power to be over somebody. Sarah said, remember the people who behave like groupies or the weird groupie element before speaker meetings? Oh, when like someone popular was coming to speak. That is funny. Oh, I listened to him on a speaker tape. Marina Life Animal said topic dishonesty. Dun dun dun.
Say more about dishonesty. Do you mean like that the claim that if we're not getting it works if you work it, like 95% aren't, that it's because that we're constitutionally incapable of being honest with ourselves? Is that what you mean by dishonesty, or the fact that the entire thing is baloney, or all of the above?
Sponsors and narcissistic abuse. Will AA's steps 4 through 9 fix my childhood trauma as a topic? No, they won't. Or I don't think so. Probably make it worse.
Well, the thing is that the trauma is in our nervous system, right? And the way that I understand the 12 steps is that, and it's just my perspective, it's all mental. It's working out things on the mental plane. You're writing down your resentments. You're writing down your fears. There is healing in some of that. I did get some relief from some of that, telling people your shame and stuff. But to me, the trauma is our nervous system. And so that's why I like internal family systems in my own limited understanding. Again, I'm not anybody's therapist or mental health provider, so I'm not giving medical advice, but it's an embodied thing. So when I can create a new relationship in my nervous system, I can change my brain And that's not mental, that's like embodied, that's emotional, that's like a visceral thing, that's like rewiring myself. And so I don't see the steps as doing that. The steps, there is stuff in the steps that can help. Writing down my fears can be helpful. Then I can see them logically. There's things that I did do in the step work that did help me. But there's ways to do that where you're not being coerced or harmed or having to believe baloney and being coerced. Yeah. Being gaslit.
Topic: how grown-up registered predators are allowed contact with minors at AA meetings. They cover up when the old timers on Megan's Law. Yeah, sponsors nothing but a glorified shot collar. Shot collar.
For me, I've stayed away from the specific abuse that happens with individuals inside AA as topics. Although I did have, if anybody saw Mandy on Sobriety Bestie podcast, she talked about being in the Washington area. It's called Midtown Group, I think. And the 13 stepping that was happening there when she was a teenager. So it was child sex trafficking. And that was an AA. But I generally stay away from the harms that individuals in AA do. I'm more interested in the systematic harms from the actual ideology. Not that it's not relevant to talk about the individual harms, but that can vary from individual to group to whatever. So that's a very valid topic. But I think when everyone says not in my group thing, which I know they say to you a lot, Tara, not in my group, not in my group. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't have thought that my group was harmful either when I didn't understand what the fuck the harms were. When I thought the bullshittery was true, you can't see the harms. Fish can't see the water. When you're stuck inside the ideology, you can't see past it. So you don't even know what you're talking about, but you don't even know that, right? But you can't say that to someone because not only can they not hear you, but then you sound like an arrogant fuck. So you just can't say it. But it's also kind of true.
Yeah.
And so if I'm interested in the harms that are in the system itself, because that's what we're deprogramming from. Now, the harms that we get from the individuals, like the predators and the 13 step and all that stuff, those harms are very real too. And they deserve acknowledgement, a healing, a validation, all of that. And then AA does systematically, a lot of the time, protect the predators by saying, stay on your side of the street. My sponsor literally said, when I said my friend was SA'd, my friend was raped by the predator, that I warned her about the predator, and then it ended up happening anyways. I couldn't stop it from happening, right? Even though I warned her, but I saw what he had been doing with people, and I warned her, and then it happened, and then I was really upset, and I went to my sponsor, and I told my sponsor about it. I was really upset, and my sponsor said, stay on your side of the street, and she literally said, I've said this once before, but it's so disgusting. She said, you don't know what God is doing with his dick. That might be how she gets sober. And I was just horrified beyond belief. And I didn't know what to do with that because my safe person, right? My sponsor, my safe person is telling me that it's okay that he assaulted my friend. She's not saying go to the police. Here's the number for the police. Do you need help getting to the police? Do you want to take your friend to the police? Does your friend need a doctor? She is saying stay on your side of the street. She is saying let it go, let God, let him continue to do what he's doing in this room that you already kind of knew he was doing. And now he's done it to your friend and you need to move the fuck on and look at your part in this or whatever the fuck. And that it's essentially it's okay. So we're co-signing the predator. We're allowing the predators to prey. That's not really inside the AA ideology, meaning powerlessness is part of the ideology, but that's part of the culture that happens in a lot of the rooms where the predators are allowed to prey because of the culture, not because of like step 4 says that, but because of the culture. And so that is a huge problem. I know that like Monica Richardson's, that's like a part of like her work and she's revamping she's starting her podcast up again in 2026. So pretty soon Monica Richardson's will be back up with her podcast. So that's like her passion. My passion is like the fucking thing's a lie. Stop gaslighting us. So for me, it's about the fucking gaslighting and the lies. And I want to like bring clarity to it. It's all valid. The harm reduction is valid. I see harm reduction as the path now, and that's like, Tara, like a big part of your message. So I love that there's varied opinions. I also love that Quackaholics Anonymous did not get sober in AA. He had to leave AA to get sober. Like, I love that that's his journey, because we've all had different experiences.
Yeah. Yes. I gotta pee really bad.
Okay, you want to go pee?
Yeah.
Okay. Katie says, I had a similar experience with one of my sponsors. Basically ended up with me telling me to be grateful that I have a program when the abuser never got the option to do so. There is so much that is not okay that happens. And so many of us, I'm sorry that that is your story. And there's so much that can be fucked up inside the rooms, 100%. Nydia says, AA ideology is not just the steps, it's the tradition, the concepts, the protection behind the traditions, such as group unity and principles before personalities as part of the system. Really good point. Yeah, principles before personalities. Yeah. And my sponsor in that context of the essay and my friend was telling me to stay on my side of the street, which is a very common thing. And that I'm not God. She was like, there's your business, there's his business, and there's God's business. You need to stay out of God's business, stay out of his business. It's your business. And all that does is perpetuate the harm. And then I'm in a cognitive dissonance because I know what just happens really wrong and not okay. And also it's like my person, my sponsor, my safe person, whatever, is telling me to like, let it go, let God. And I know that that's wrong, but I don't know what to do with it. It's so, yeah. Kat says, what the fuck? That's why I hate the live and let live bullshit. Bullshit. I almost misread that. It just translates for me to, yeah, let the abusers continue to abuse and pat them on the back for it. Yeah. The harm, it keeps the harm going. Okay. And then we have Kate says, principles before personalities could be a whole topic. Okay. Yeah, let me add that to the list too. And how that's harmful. Principles before personalities.
Ugh. Principles before personalities. What I miss? Anything good?
Kind of more talking about how the harm and abuse is perpetuated at the individual level with different predators inside the group. Yeah,
for sure.
And then we have Katie. By the way, Katie, congratulations on a month of escaping from the cult religion of 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous. I remember, I think it was your day one you came here on a live stream. So awesome that you are unpacking it all. And I just wish you the best, whatever you decide, whether you go back or not. I just, it's great to see you deprogramming.
Absolutely.
It's been a wild month. I got baptized during my AA journey. Since leaving, I've also started to unpack my beliefs around that. Yeah. So then religion too. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. That was one of so there was a couple of cracks in my brainwashing that knocked me out of AA ideology. The first one I shared about earlier on this live stream about my friend taking his own life when he was told he had to when he canceled his help because his sponsor told him to, and he never made it past his fifth step, right? Or to his fifth step. But another thing was like me like unpacking my own ideas about religion and God and realizing that what I evolved into believing as far as faith and stuff no longer aligned with what I needed to believe in AA in order to survive and live and all of that. And I was like, well, what's true? How AA needs me to think about God or how I actually think about God? Because now the cognitive dissonance, I can't bury it anymore. It was like buried for so long, but now it's in front of my face. And I felt like I had to choose. At some point, I have to choose who I've evolved into or who AA says, like, I need this higher power that can't obviously be a doorknob, right? We joke about a doorknob of my understanding, but you can't actually turn your will and your life over to a doorknob. A doorknob is not going to protect you from taking a drink. Like, it's just bullshit, even though they say it's part of the gaslighting. Like, it's just not true. So yeah, reevaluating how we think about spirituality or religion. Oh, okay. Kate says, thank you. And then she says, never going back. 100%. When they say to me in my comments, we're saving you a seat, we'll see you in a few years or anything like that. Literally, I'm like, well, I left in 2020, so it's been a few years. You better work, bitch. Don't I know that you're toxic?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like break out in Britney every 10 minutes.
It works though.
It works. Britney works or AA works.
Definitely Britney, not AA.
Oh my God. Never going back. Yeah. So when they say to me, when people in my comments, like from AA, say we're saving you a seat, or they say we'll see you in a couple of years, or AA, even though you're anti-AA, we'll still be here for you when you come back. We'll accept you with open arms. Anything like that. Literally, what I type them back, because it's how I think about it. It's my perception. It's how I feel. I say, like, that's like, bro, that's like offering a Jonestown escapee a cup of Kool-Aid. No fucking thank you.
Yeah.
No, not drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm good. I can see how I can literally see how the AA Kool-Aid has killed people.
Right.
I could see how it was slowly killing parts of me. And no, I don't want your poison anymore. Why do you think your poison is attractive? No,
Yeah.
once you see it, it's like pretending that Santa really gave you the present. It's like, no, once you know,
you know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Exactly. If you don't know, now you know. So don't go. Quick spliff tower, we can see the smoke. I did pee too, though, but I did take a little hit-a-roo, but I also peed. Go, Katie, Kate said.
Right on, Kate.
Downtown Tasty said, yay, I finally made it to alive again. Yay, welcome.
Welcome. What's up? What's up? Yeah. You better work, bitch. It works if you work it, and it doesn't work. Okay, so the new phrase, I want to make a whole like video or PDF or something about AA propaganda and like what they say and what reality is. The AA propaganda is it works if you work it. The reality is it works for 1 out of 20 people. If by work you mean abstinent for 1 year. Not if you mean resolved trauma, not if you mean like your mental health is doing better. Not if it just means you could be white knuckling it. You could be locked in your sponsor's basement.
Yeah.
With a Zoom room.
It's wild. Blue Butterfly said, I would like to hear how all these AA ways are also evident in other known cults like Scientology and Nexium. Interesting.
Okay. Hang on 1 second. I am just popped over here. So I'm going to post, does this link work? If I post a link, can you click it? I don't know how this works. Okay, so that I just posted a link there. I did a video comparing AA to Scientology. I saw that it really aligned up. They have their own little like inventories that they do, some little machine. I forget what it's called exactly right now. Katie says, I just don't think I need a higher power. I'm actually okay with that right now. Yep.
Feel that. Kat said, AA being normalized in Hollywood and celebrity mainstream culture and how it actively contributes to the harm. It could be a whole topic too. Oh yeah, big time. Big time.
All right, here we go. Muppet. Muppet, I love it. This is a vibe. Brittany is my higher power. She told me I didn't need AA. Oops, I did it again. I left the fucking rooms. I'm not that controllable. Oh, baby. Oh, my God. We should make a total Britney song spoof off of deprogramming AA. That would be a vibe. I can't really sing, guys, but I do like the vibe with some Britney. Bitch, does this thing work? You better work, bitch. You gotta work, bitch. What does her song go? You want a Maserati? You better work,
Yeah.
bitch. You want sobriety? You better do the work, bitch.
Oh no, the sponsors are gonna love that one. Oh, goodness.
This is AA, bitch. Oh my God.
Up and back on again. Hi, Melissa. Melissa said, I never went to meetings. I just can't get behind the way AA stigmatizes people who use MAT. Yeah, they sure do. I mean, you'll have some people who will say it's an outside issue, and then you'll have some people who stigmatize the fuck out of it. You know, for the most part, I've seen the stigmatizing part.
Kate says, I don't think Alan Ross gets that AA is a cult, unfortunately. Who's Alan Ross? Is that paint guy? You know, the guy with the afro who paints, like his big hair?
That's Bob Ross.
Oh, sorry.
That's Bobby.
My brother just gave my mom, I guess it's Bob Ross, a Bob Ross thing in her stocking for Christmas. So maybe that's why something. Bob Ross knows about the cult.
Bobby. Oh, it's funny. Oh, it hurts my head, Bobby.
Nydia says, it works if you have a complete identity change, become a cult puppet, pretend that there's no other issues going on, live and breathe in the rooms, and become brain dead.
Simple. It's a simple program.
David says, I guess I have another character defect as I'm jealous as hell of you people walking away from AA while I'm stuck going because of the sober house I'm temporarily stuck in. But I hear that. I so hear that. And the coercion is fucked up 100%. I think we're all on the same page here. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I think a lot of us would say, yes, we have empathy for that. The coercion into AA, the people who can see AA as harmful. I love that you've been consistently coming to like put your head into deprogramming content as well. I think that's a good protection from like, okay, so I have to go right now and it's temporary, but I'm also balancing that out by being in a community of people who are pointing out how they believe and the research that they have done that mystifies it. Because I think that if you do expose yourself to deprogramming content while you're also being indoctrinated through the coercion, that it can help alleviate some of it, meaning I don't know. To me, that's like wearing a bulletproof vest or something, right? Like it's going to give protection against it because you're going to be like, okay, this whole community over here kind of thinks that it works if you work it is bullshit for these reasons. The statistics, 1 out of 20. It works for 1 out of 20, you know? And so then you might be less likely to believe it when you hear it in there because you have some modern science, you have people and pointing to the resources. Like literally I'm holding up the books about how Hitler did propaganda, which Bill also did, 12-step coercion, which actually maybe this would be a relevant vibe for you right now because you're being coerced into 12-step through your, I think it's sober living home or I forget exactly the conditions, right? But this resisting 12-step coercion, that book was interesting. Also the book club this month, we're reading The Real AA. If you're on Sobriety Bestie YouTube, it's the second link below the video. Real AA is a good book. So there's a lot of ways that I think you can protect yourself from getting locked into the ideology, but you're like, I mean, I love the way that you're doing it. It feels like you're making the best out of a shit situation where you're protecting your mind from getting locked into the system. So, yeah. But I don't know, trust yourself. I don't know what you should do. Maybe you should stay in AA forever. Maybe you should never go back. I literally don't know, but I know that trusting myself is like, it is the vibe. Yeah. Okay, here people are talking about Scientology. It's the E-meter. Yeah, we did the 10th step and stuff. They did the E-meter.
This says, Sobriety Bestie, you were thinking about the auditing sessions for Scientology where they use the E-meters. Oh, I never heard of that. Downtown Tasty said, shit better work, bitch, is
Better work,
basically
bitch.
what AA says. Oddly enough, they don't actually teach anything. It just comes down to don't use. I mean, that's all they can really give besides pray. Yes, you pray about it, baby. You pray about it.
You better
Pray to
pray.
God.
Pray, pray, pray. We gotta pray that we make it today. MC Hammer,
Pray to
anybody? Did you know that song, Burnie? MC Hammer?
I know like one MC Hammer song, and
Too
that's not the
legit.
one.
Too legit to
Oh, I
quit.
have heard that. I have heard that. Yeah.
Did anybody have MC
No,
Hammer
I'm not.
pants? Was it only me? Can I get a witness?
I didn't.
I don't know. Are there any other Gen Xers here? Okay, Downtown Tasty is saying Bob Ross. Yeah, sorry about that. That's what came to my mind. Like Bob Ross, the pink guy. He was such a vibe. No, he is a cult expert. Rest in peace, Dr. Bob. Or Dr. Bob, sorry. Dr. Bob.
It does say Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob.
Why this became so funny? This was such a good time.
Well, I know why everything
Freedom.
became funny to me.
You would have said that.
Katie said, oh, what? In did we already read that one? I don't know if we did. I'm so bad with names. I would have done that too, Kirsten.
Well, that's Kristen, why I think that's one of my favorite parts of these live streams is it's crowdsourcing. I don't know all the answers. You probably don't know all the answers, no offense. But together we can all kind of figure out when you have enough minds come together, it's like a mastermind of deprogramming.
Sure. The Muppet named Mo said in AA, they say tree is an outside issue, but will get so mad if you use it to quit drinking. Oh, yeah, right. I'm like, what tree? Alan Ross, cult specialist. Never heard of him.
Does he paint too?
He paints all the cults. Alan. Okay,
so here's the conversation. AA says, you better work, bitch. Do the work, bitch. And then the deprogrammer says, don't you know that you're toxic?
Like one of those battles. Oh, I just got a fluffy. Oh,
somebody stop me. Turn the live stream off. I've lost my mind.
Oh, goodness. SW said he helped people get away from the Moonies and the scary ones in Oregon back when I was a kid. Oh,
okay.
Never heard of them. Okay, said simple as in give the program your mind. Yeah. Mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. Cassandra said, I always wondered how your families feel about deprogramming. They usually get indoctrinated too. Yeah, my mom was definitely indoctrinated, and definitely, even though she never went to a meeting herself, she heard the things and really believed that if I was going to meetings, I was okay. If I wasn't going to meetings, something was wrong. And it took her a while to understand that I was going to be okay. She still gives me shit. Not as much. She's been probably good for about a year now about me and the cannabis thing, but she used to always just be like, I wish you could just deal with life sober. Like that's how she would always say it. But yeah, she had to go through some stuff. I actually sent her Undoing Drugs, that book, and she came around a little bit. Like she started to understand it a little bit differently. But she's still got some deprogramming to do for sure. For sure.
Downtown.
Like, no, go ahead. No, I was like, I don't know what she wants me to read.
I always thought Scientology auditing was just like a fourth step. Yeah, once I did that. So a lot of people were saying to me, oh, AA is not a cult, because I did an AA is a cult playlist on Sobriety Bestie YouTube, and people are like, AA is not a cult. AA is not a cult because of this. It's not like Scientology. It's not like Scientology. People kept commenting, AA is not like Scientology, because we all kind of know, I'd say the majority of the the people, mainstream is Scientology is a harmful cult, right?
Yeah.
And so then I went through and I looked at, I did research on what Scientology is, and I compared it to AA, and I made a video. Yes, AA is like Scientology. So then I could just reply. I basically for a while was making videos that could be like clapbacks to like random ass comments, like AA is not Scientology. I'm like, thanks for coming. And I just like post the video or whatever. Not exactly thanks for coming, but yeah, I was like, actually it is, and here's how.
Yeah. Homing said these two are vibing tonight. Vibes. Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite memories of Britney Spears is my boyfriend at the time lived in Oakland, and we just broke up. And I was driving back into San Francisco across the Bay Bridge, and I was blasting Britney Spears as you do during a breakup in like the year 2000 or whatever, or 2003 or 4 or whatever it was. And it was her stronger, right? And I was like, I'm stronger. And then yesterday, like, and it just felt like a woman's empowerment. Like, and I was crying because of my breakup, and I'm driving on the bridge and I'm singing with Britney. And yeah, that's the vibes. Maybe that's how people feel about Taylor Swift now or other people, but she was all the vibes for me. I don't know why Britney took over this. Probably because it's like, you better work, bitch. You better do the steps, bitch. Do the steps, bitch. Cotton out of your ear and in your mouth, bitch. Get 2 commitments, bitch.
Right? Oh my God. It works so perfectly. I feel like I have fluffies in my own.
Oh, we're at MC Hammer Pants. Kate, millennial, but yes, had the pants. Yes, I did have the pants. MC Hammer Pants.
Oh God, so many people had the pants.
Kate saying, just you, Kirsten. I think I was in high school and I had the MC Hammer Pants. Do you guys know what MC Hammer Pants are? They like puff out really and they kind of peg leg a little bit, but they're not the peg leg that you had to peg yourself. Does anybody remember pegging their leg? In the 90s, we pegged our leg on our pants, but the MC Hammer Pants kind of puffed like parachute, but then they pegged on their own, I believe. And then you kind of, you know, with your legs, you kind of move across, right? Can't touch this. I can't touch this. That's like for abstinence, right? Can't touch this. Can't touch this.
It all works.
Oh, sure is. Katie says crowdsourcing. Yes, I literally just reached out to an internal family systems therapist during this live stream. Good reminders on learning. Yeah, let us. I love when people come back and say how things have worked for them or didn't work for them too, because it just kind of feeds into it. But for me, I found it was really helpful. Mm-hmm. Having Miami Vice flashbacks with those pants. Yeah, remember Miami Vice? Was that Don Johnson? Like, oh my God. Yeah. The Moonies. The Moonies seems forever ago. Was the Moonies the 70s? Cult?
I never heard of it.
I don't want to wear the pastels and dress like David Lee Roth. Okay, David Lee Roth. We were talking about Alan Ross, David Ross. Now we got David Lee Roth. I liked David Lee Roth. Remember like Hot for Teacher, Van Halen, all that? Or remember like the big hair and stuff? Yeah, that was a vibe. Parachute pants rolled. Oh yeah, the Britney movie Crossroads. That's right. I was like, so I feel like there's only 2 brands that I've ever been like obsessed with, and I would say I'm currently not obsessed with either, but that they were like my brands, like ride or dies, and it was Britney and Starbucks. Those were like my 2 brands.
Downtown Tasty said the 4-step was so weird too. Like I remember doing the inventory and being like, what the fuck is this about? They wanted me to do a sexual inventory. I'm like, I don't have sex stuff I feel guilty about, weirdos. Yeah, the sex inventory thing was weird. It's very weird.
Yeah, and it comes from, as far as I understand, like Frank Bookman's influence. So what I understand from what I've read, and this is alleged, so let me be clear, I wasn't there. I think he was into boys, but wasn't very clear about it because he was like a kind of like a priest or whatever. And so, I mean, he's a 40-year-old man who's living with the 18-year-olds at the Oxford, like in their like fraternities or whatever, hanging out with all these like college boys. They were kind of basically boys. They weren't very old. He was twice their age or whatever. Kind of weird. And he had all these like sexual hangups and stuff. And so that came into his Oxford group religion. And then Bill got sober in that group for 2.5 years. So I think that's where we got the sexual inventory from, because it was like sinning and sexuality, which doesn't have a whole lot to do with like being addicted to a liquid. In my case, it was alcohol, right? But yeah, so I think that's Frank Bookman's like weird situation. Can't touch this. Can't touch this. Now, why would I ever stop doing this?
No, I didn't.
Peg their own legs. Yeah. Bueller. Oh my God. The comments are so funny. Peg leg during the robot. Oh my God. Love it. Is it true that there's less and less Gen Alpha and Gen Z buying into the 12-step bullshit? That's what I hear. I heard Kate say that compared to other generations previously. I think they may have heard somewhere, but I don't know if it's true. Yeah, I think we're getting wiser. Like my perception isn't reality, but I just think that we're evolving. Well, we are evolving. We always evolve. Like society and culture evolves. And there was the time where we thought cigarette smoking was okay. And the doctor said Camels are the best, right? And now we're like, whoa, okay, bro. But there's like consequences to the cigarettes. They're not without harm. So just be informed consent. You might get cancer. Most people don't, but some people do. Just know, bro, that it's not totally safe. So I feel like as we're moving in that direction, which we will with AA, it'll move into informed consent, and maybe it'll implode, meaning everything has a lifetime, right? There's a period of time where something like a life cycle. And I feel like we're over the midway section of the life cycle of AA. Like there's the early adopters, Bill and Dr. Bob, and then it like picks on, gets popular with all the propaganda and stuff with Marty Mann in the 40s. And then things like N, they have a life cycle. And because it's not based on modern science, because it's a con, it's a snake oil thing, in my opinion, people will catch on to that. There's more and more people feeling liberated with their voices to share their truth and their stories on the internet, like we're doing right now. But like you are also doing in the comments, even if you have an anonymous YouTube account or Facebook account and you're commenting anonymously, meaning it's not your face, it's not your actual name, you're still leaving your voice here, and people are going to see that. So people are going to start waking up, I think, from feeling that we can actually share a story and tell our truth. People will see it. And if everyone keeps pointing towards, a lot of people point towards this group is harmful, it's going to make people think twice. I've also heard that like Gen Z isn't drinking as much. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. And for other reasons. But I also hear that they're not drinking as much. Wow, scary. I think this is too, that you can get arrested for pegging your own leg. This is scary. Scary, very scary.
Evolving said most of us are dealing with trauma, so stopping everything too soon can end in suicide. If it ends there, steppers be like, they just couldn't get this, even if our death is because we didn't work it. Yep, always. That's how you see it all the time. Like I say, like I think anyone who's been in the rooms for any amount of time knows somebody who has taken their life and has heard the steppers say they just couldn't get this, and the whole, they die so you can live, like all of those things that they say to try to make sense that this is happening,
Like Victor of Quackaholics Anonymous was literally told multiple times, like, some have to die so others can live. You're in the category where you're going to have to die so others can live. I mean, how brutal is that? No wonder why he like bounced out there with such like anger for the system, because it's so messed up. And so that inspired him to share his voice, amongst other things. Yuki says, can y'all say hi? What up, Yuki? What's up? Hello.
Hello. He says, I think social media has opened the doors to allowing people to communicate and discuss what is really happening in AA. No more gatekeeping. Absolutely. I definitely think so too. Although it is sad. I'm sure you get the messages too, how many people still feel like they can't. You know, so many people don't even want to leave a public comment. So many people have, like, they'll leave, you know, they'll give a whole long thing about what is going on, but they will not publicly talk about it because the culture of it is that you don't say anything negative about
Anonymous.
the program. Yeah,
Anonymous.
and being anonymous, you know.
It's literally the brand is to shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is completely inappropriate that a stranger hears about your sexual life or any private matter, including finances. Yeah, I agree.
I think this is like a little bonus here or something. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate you. That's cool. So what step is pegging your pants? Wow, this has been so fun. I think it's clear to me that it works if you work it is propaganda and not reality. And what is accurate, as I've said multiple times, is it works for 1 in 20 people when they work it. For whatever reason, we're not sure. And I would argue if people wanted to say that AA worked for me because I was abstinent since I have not had one drink at all, not even a sip, since I went to my first AA meeting. I know I'm in a very small minority there. And to me to say that that's normal is like Elon Musk to saying being a bazillionaire is normal. It's like, no, you got to know when you're in the minority and not act as if that minority is like the entire population. It's fucking bullshit and it's harmful. But shoot, I lost it again. I'm squirreling out today, guys. It's all the Brittany. Man. Oh, so it works if you work it. What was I on about? This is how I like screw myself, is that I want to send, I have something I want to share, and then I pack so much context around it that I forgot my actual point because I want to make sure that what I'm saying makes sense in the context and to not drop people. And I'm trying to consider that somebody who's watching right now might not have been on the beginning of the stream. So I want it to like make sense in the context I'm saying it. And then every once in a while, I just forget what I was even going to say because I pack so much context there. So that's what happens with my brain sometimes. I'm like, oh, wait, I got lost in my own context. But it works. It works for one. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Works if you work it. Did it work for me? If abstinence means that it works, then okay. But I also feel like I showed up at AA 30 days sober because I went to rehab first. I went to rehab and I paid for rehab because I was ready to get sober. I was done. I didn't want to get sober, but I felt like getting sober. I felt like at that moment, I was choosing between getting sober and dying. And so I wasn't choosing sobriety. I was choosing life.
Yeah.
And in choosing life, I went and I took money that I had earned and I spent it on rehab. Actually, my dad paid for half of my rehab. I paid for half of my rehab. It was not cheap. And that was an investment in my future because I was ready to quit. And I was done. It was destroying me. It was destroying my life. And I knew I couldn't move forward unless I went this route. So I showed up at AA. I know Rick was on here earlier. If you still are, what's up, Rick? And the stubborn as fuck thing. I was, and it didn't mean that you could be stubborn and not relapse, but I was like ready to go all in on it because I had invested that money, because it was destroying my life. I was at a point where I was ready to be done. And I would argue that not only would I probably still be alive if I didn't go to AA, I probably would have still got sober if I didn't go to AA. We can't really play that game of how things would be different in the past if the past were different. It's a fantasy. But when people say you would be dead without AA, I'm like, but my best friend drank more than I did at the time and she's still alive. She didn't do AA. She came in for 6 months and I sponsored her. Then she bounced. She was like, this is fucking weird. Yo, I'm not doing the steps. Fuck this shit. And she bounced. So no, people who should have been dead are still alive without AA. And also I was done. And my personality is that when I commit to something, maybe it's even the autism, like hyper focus thing, when I go all in on things. Can you tell I'm currently all in on deprogramming? Have you seen the podcast? And so I was ready. And nobody could have made me ready. Like somebody on my comments yesterday, they're like, well, okay, you're an AA hater, but how many people have you gotten sober? And I'm like, nobody. I can't get anybody sober. I don't think I can get anybody sober, because the only thing that could get me sober, in my opinion, was that readiness to change my life. And it's not easy to get to that place where you've had enough of is enough and you're ready to make a change, because it's really fucking hard to change. The brain likes stasis. It likes to same. It doesn't like the change. In general, brains don't like to change everything, right? And so I was ready. So I would argue that it's not that it worked. If it worked, it worked because I was ready. Sobriety worked for me because I was fucking ready.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as somebody who took all the suggestions, worked all the steps, did all the things, like tried absolutely everything multiple times, and each time I would come back, I would be more open-minded, more willing, take on more commitments, do all of the things, and it still didn't, quote unquote, work for me. And I mean, I would argue that there was one point, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, but I really don't think that anybody could have worked it much harder than I was at one point, because I was so desperate. I was like, I cannot go back out again. I cannot do this again. Yeah. And still within that, I was still just not okay. So I definitely don't think that it works if you work it. It may work for a few people who work it, but it's definitely not guaranteed that if you take all the suggestions, if you do everything exactly as it's laid out in the book, that it's going to work for you. It's just not a guarantee.
And maybe a better message would have been for you at the time, from what I know about you now, is if it working was to no longer do heroin, then what the better message might have been is it works if you smoke pot. Like you can get off heroin if you smoke pot, versus pushing an abstinence model that you might have gotten into harm reduction. You might have gotten out of heroin sooner if you had a different option other than a abstinent only purity based cult religion.
Yeah, I definitely agree that if I could have at least been able to smoke some weed, I definitely wouldn't have had as many runs back out there. I can, obviously I can't say for certain, but I definitely believe that to be true. And Downtown Tasty said, honestly, the people who AA worked for probably would have stayed sober anyway, and AA took credit for it. I believe that, because like what you were saying, Kristen, like you were done and you were ready. And I do feel like for the most part, nothing like that has to be the core of it. That has to be the core of it.
But I will also say I have a video coming up on Tuesday on Sobriety Bestie YouTube where I interviewed, does anybody know Katie Lane, who does like a Sinclair Method program? And I think it's called Alcohol Thrive, Alcohol Recovery. And so we talked about it at the end of our vibing, which was like over 2 hours. It was so great to talk to her, because y'all know I love the Sinclair Method, because I just love what works. It works if you look at what's most effective and do what's most effective, not if you like cult yourself into believing that something doesn't really work very well works. But because it's so effective for so many people, I'm really interested in that science. I'm interested in any of the science on addiction. I've always been into addiction. Even like one of the first books I really got into was called Go Ask Alice. Did anybody read that? I was like 13. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Go ask Alice. Like she's all about drugs. And my parents like were very young when they got married, and they went to Woodstock for their honeymoon. And I kind of heard about some things growing up that I won't mention here. So I could kind of always thought that it was normal to like experiment. So I've always kind of been curious about like addiction. I don't know, all those things. But so we did explore on that podcast with Katie Lane, who has a whole program around Sinclair Method. When in our drinking would we have ideally done Sinclair Method? And it wouldn't have been when I was actually ready to pay for rehab and go to AA. I would have done it 10 years earlier, because 10 years earlier, I knew I had a problem with alcohol and wanted to change my relationship with alcohol. I never wanted to get sober. But if I had done Sinclair method 10 years before I actually got sober, I never would have had to get sober in the first place. I probably just would have lost interest in drinking over time and drank moderately, or maybe just lost interest in drinking like she did. So to me, it's like not even waiting to your rock bottom or until it gets really bad. It's like, at what point do you want to start harm reduction? At what point do you realize you have a problem and you want to actually try an easier, softer way to like not give up alcohol, but to have less consequences? It's an easier sales pitch.
Right.
To me, it's like, it's bananas that's not like what's like the front runner in Netflix shows, in Hollywood, in media. Like, can we talk about what's actually effective? I'm not biased to anything other than the fucking data. Like, what works, not what do you say works.
Yeah. I did an interview with Dee Dee Stout, and she wrote the book Coming to Harm Reduction, Kicking and Screaming, and she said that stuff, like we were talking about, like why we don't see it on TV is because the drama's not there, right? But then none of the drama's there, so it doesn't make good TV, so people don't care because it works, right? And when you think about how, what you were just saying, it's like we wait this treatment that we do now, traditional treatment with 12-step, we wait till people are supposedly at their worst, right? Why don't we intervene when it's not that bad? And when you think about any other thing, literally anything else, we don't wait until somebody is, someone's pre-diabetic, we try to do something then. We don't wait till they have diabetes. Like all of the things we try to do early intervention for, except for this. It's
stage
the one thing.
or stage 4 with cancer. Where do we ideally want to go, right? Do we want to wait till everything gets the worst of the worst of the worst? And the reason why, like, it's because abstinence is not an easy ask. It's a big ask. Most people don't want to give up alcohol. If they're drinking alcohol, there's a reason why. But to a pill that's going to help them drink less, if it works for them, and it doesn't work for everybody, I always have to qualify that, but yeah. Lavender Foxes says, Kirsten, anyone who looks at your almost decade of YouTube's videos on YouTube's would know you go deep on special interests. Totally. For so long, it was anxiety, because I had anxiety for fucking ever and like my whole life. And that's like what alcohol really helped to medicate my anxiety. Right. And so when I first got sober, anxiety was like, I was just so focused on how can I stop having anxiety attacks every day. And so I learned all the things. I flew places. My mind was not all together. I knew I was ADHD, but my sponsor said, no, it's not ADHD, it's alcoholism. So I didn't actually get help for my ADHD then. I didn't find out until 14 years after that I actually do have ADHD. But so a lot of my first videos are about mindfulness. And I started my YouTube in 2012, and it was like mindfulness, meditation. And then I started my coaching business, and it was coaching people with anxiety or fear. And it all came about like changing my relationship with fear and anxiety. And that's a lot of us though, too. So yeah, that was definitely my interest for a long time. It still is. I'm still very interested, because fear doesn't go away, right? I'm still very interested in being courageous and working through my own fear. Like my big fear that I worked through last year, what I'm most proud of is finally giving myself permission to tell the truth on the internet about Alcoholics Anonymous, because that scared the shit out of me. And it's been so liberating to do that. And that was a huge fear of mine to work through, where that not only do I not have to be anonymous to a problematic, narcissistic cult religion, harmful group that I used to be a part of, but that I get to own my story, speak my truth. And if I feel led from my intuition to speak to a huge harm and problem in society that most people are not fucking talking about or aware of, then no, I can do that. And I just need to figure out how I can actually get myself to do that. So yeah, I'm interested in fear deeply, because it controls all of us all the time. And I'm interested in continually breaking through my own. And if I can do anything to help anybody else break through theirs, that's a win for me.
Yeah. Evolving said, when we leave, they call us a dry drunk, sick, not really sober. We are abused for leaving too. They have an answer, abuse tactic for everything. AA was created to break us no matter what we choose. Yeah. Definitely always have something for something.
Dry drunk is a lie.
Plain and simple, Harry.
It does not work. If you are watching Burnie and Bestie live, that works if you work a bitch, mythology busting, and you're vibing us and you haven't hit a reaction to the video yet, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. What are you waiting for? React, do a thumbs up, do a thumbs down, do a heart, do a sad face, do whatever it is. Give us a reaction. Let us know what you think. Yeah, it helps us to see which topics are the most relevant for everybody.
You've often said, I've done 5 years without binge drinking because I started smoking pot instead. They should encourage anything that eliminates the most dangerous using, not complete abstinence. Yes, totally agree.
This is the vibes. This is the vibes. Nobody should tell us what our goal is. What the fuck?
Yeah.
No. We are sovereign human beings. I don't know what country you're in, but in America, although not sure what's going on currently with the Constitution, but we are the liberty, right? The right to be free, like be a free person, and like don't tell me how I should live my life. As far as like if you don't want to be sober, I just feel like AA is such coercive control. And a lot of us don't want religion. Some people do, and that's fine. But a lot of us don't want religion. We don't want forever recovery. I told my rehab that I was going to rehab instead of AA deliberately because I wanted to get over like the brunt of it in a month and not do this forever recovery shit. And then in rehab, they started indoctrinating me, I can see now, into AA ideology without really my consent or awareness until now, 16 years later, because they were telling me it's forever. They believed in the forever recovery model, even though they were non 12-step rehab. So they're like, no, recovery is forever. And that's because the 5-year sober in AA lady who worked at my rehab was telling me that. She was telling me her belief system as fact in my medical facility, which is bullshit.
Sorry, I keep hitting that.
People are saying they can't figure out how to reply to comments in the chat. I don't know if we can, or some people do. I don't know how you do. Yeah. And then we have Harry saying it does not work. We have Nelson saying thank you. And you guys, we vibed for 3 hours just now. What the fuckery?
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe it. I did get up one time. Like, I can't believe I sat in a chair for 3 hours. I did it. I did get up once, but thank you guys.
Yeah, this has been such a vibe. Thank you so much, Tara, for all your insights and experience here. Thank you for everybody in the comments for sharing your thoughts. Oh, look at this. Thank you for Stacy. I am just still getting used to these. It looks like there's a little donation here. That's cool. Thank you for this platform. You're welcome. Really, I can't go back and create something for the me who left AA in 2020, but I can create something like that now. And I am very proud of all the deprogramming work that I did in 2025. And I'm excited about what's to come for 2026. I know Tara's been burning the stigma out loud longer than I have. You know, you've been vocal for a long time now in doing this work and helping a lot of people.
Yeah, but you've really you've gone deep into, and I've learned a lot from you. So I really appreciate what you bring. So, and I appreciate, like I said, everyone in the comments. I mean, you go from thinking that I know there's probably a couple of us out here to then learning statistically we are the majority. But then when you put the people's stories to the statistics, to the majority, and you hear everything that we've all been through and all made it through on the other side, it's pretty fucking cool, I think.
Yeah. Kat says, your analogies to other medical prognosis illnesses make all the bullshit so obvious. Yeah, totally. And, you know, they don't say don't get the procedure, like surgery or whatever. They say you know, like I had a family member, there was like a 5% or 10% or something chance that they were going to die. And we were told that, and they chose to have that surgery anyways. It was on their vertebrae in their neck. And we all prepared in case they were going to die, like wrote letters, like as if you're going to die and all that. And then they survived, you know, and so that's called informed consent, right? And somebody said on my Facebook, like a couple days ago, they said, informed consent, don't give us this therapy bullshit, new age terminology. I'm like, no, it's like medical reality. Like, you know that there's a chance of something going wrong when you go in and you choose it. It's called like not having malpractice. like there's a chance that this isn't going to go right. You can't guarantee things that are so individual for, you know, you can't guarantee that a medication's going to work. You can't guarantee that a certain thing, there's a certain percentage of people who are going to, like if you take benzos, I think like something like 40% of the people who take benzos have moderate to mild withdrawal like issues after, and I was in that category. I was never told that. I didn't know that I would have a chance of having very fucked up time coming off benzos, and that was my reality. It would have been great if I chose that. And honestly, if I can go back even in time, I would tell myself, don't fuck with the benzos, go on mindfulness instead, learn about mindfulness and meditation, and probably Sinclair methods so you can drink less, because that's going to help your anxiety out too. But I didn't know any better. There was no informed consent. And so it's not about don't go to AA. In my view, it's like AA, here's how AA is harmful, and it works for 5% of the people. You might be in that 5%. If you've literally tried everything else, if you've tried Sinclair, if you've tried Smart, if you tried all this other stuff, and it literally actually is the last house on the block, have at it. Fucking go to that last house on the block. The problem is I was told it was the last house on the block, but it was the first house I went to.
Bingo.
But I believed it was the last house on the block because why? Because what we started off with, because fucking what Hitler said. Let's learn from the master propaganda people. Reason does not attract, emotion does. So the aim of propaganda is to replace reasoned argument in the public sphere with irrational fears and passions. That's a quote in the book How Fascism Wrote about. That's a quote from Hitler from his book Mein Kampf. So it doesn't matter that it wasn't actually the last house on the block for me. It's that I couldn't see that it wasn't the last house on the block because I kept being told it was. So I believed the short little sentences that were repeated all the time because that's how the propaganda works.
Agree. Sarah said it's not even a valid diagnosis. Did it used to be? I know as like substance use disorder and addiction, but I don't know if was specifically alcoholism. Was that ever even in the DSM or was it not? I'm not sure.
I feel like it was for 2 of the 5 editions, like the second and the third, that it might have been alcoholism might have been in there, but it hasn't been for decades. And I'm not 100% sure on that. It's alcohol use disorder, which makes so much more sense to me. And plus, in alcohol use disorder, you can still drink and be recovered from alcohol use disorder because it comes down to how many drinks you have. No, I don't necessarily agree with how they define it. I think it's very individual, but yeah. Let's see. Nelson says, do you foresee this podcast being broadcast on other platforms like TikTok? How do you do that? I don't know. Does StreamYard go to TikTok? I don't know. We're on a program called StreamYard right now that's broadcasting through Facebook and YouTube.
I think it's like a special thing, but I guess because it's not like direct, it doesn't always necessarily work as good. But to be honest, I don't know the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, but I have my phone right here, and there's no reason why I couldn't have my phone right here, but here, and then have it be broadcasting on TikTok, at least like what I'm saying, maybe not how to get us both on there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as like hip to TikTok because I kind of felt like TikTok was so toxic with the deprogramming content. Maybe it's toxic in general. I felt like the more I engaged on TikTok, like more than 3 or 4 days, I could tell my mental health was like getting like assaulted and it was affecting me, my cognition, my mood. And I felt like, oh, this is not right. And then, but recently my my Facebook page became like that too, or it became like a cesspool for like the worst of the AAs. Because I think honestly, the most people in AA are not going to troll on the internet. They're just not. Most people are not trolls. It's a certain kind of person that's going to come at you and call you profanity and like go low and stuff on the internet. It's kind of a weird vibe. And so most AAs I think would probably not do that, but they're doing it on Facebook now too, where I feel like on my YouTube, it's like 95% of the people are vibing the content and they're active deprogrammers, and 5% are AA diehards who are like, you're a fucking idiot. But on my Facebook recently, it's been like 95% are assholes and 5% are like, thank you. So I don't know. TikTok's kind of like that too for me, where I'm like, I want to help people. I don't want to be assaulted all day long. So like, I kind of like, I'm figuring out my own way in this too, because it is kind of edgy it does attract, and I understand it. I'm not naive here, but TikTok does attract like some very like questionable mental health states that it's contagious. I don't want to be the recipient I don't want to receive that. I don't want to host that. So I don't really know how to I'm still like learning how to fly the plane as I'm flying the plane kind of thing, or building the plane while I'm flying it.
SSW said, I don't do TikTok, too toxic. Yeah, I used to do it all the time, but honestly, it's just, sometimes it's just not worth it.
Okay, I'll actually look this up.
Another not about, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think you can maybe with this platform. I just Googled it and it looked like maybe you can.
Okay.
Okay. Evolving One says they're attacking you because they are insecure in their cult membership. It helps them to discredit your truth rather than acknowledging that they are living a lie. Yeah. And I think that they in their nervous system, they believe like at their identity level, they're tied to AA being true at their survival level. So AA saved their life, which again is propaganda. Just like AA is the last house on the block. It works if you work it. It's propaganda. These are short, easy to comprehend sentences that are repeated enough that they're taken at truth without actually, contempt, belief prior to investigation kind of a things. So they really believe that their survival depends upon AA. They have a fatal progressive disease. AA is the only way, all of that stuff. So when your survival and your life and your tribe and your purpose and your identity is tied to a system being true, somebody saying the system isn't true is going to feel like a threat at the survival level of your nervous system. So they'll literally have a threat response in their nervous system. So they're in fight, flight, freeze. The sympathetic nervous system is activated. So they have a cascade of chemicals in their body. Their brain is releasing chemicals in their gut too, right? Of adrenaline and like 30 or so plus stress chemicals. So now they're having this biochemical experience. They're not in their logical, rational brain. They're in their emotional center, their amygdala, right? So now it's what Daniel Goleman in his book, Emotional Intelligence, called an amygdala hijack. So they're not rational or logical. They're emotional. They feel threatened and they're reacting, fight, flight, freeze. They are fighting. So it is a nervous system reaction without logic and ration. And they're trying to, they're fighting me off and Tara off like we are the saber-toothed tiger in the cave days, because, and they're not being logical or rational. And then when you write back with logic, they get progressively worse because now they're even more irritated and more cognitive dissonance. So now all of a sudden you're killing people, you're a bitch, you're dangerous, you're whatever. And yeah. And I think it's because it's tied to their survival level. There's probably a lot of reasons at play here, right? So while I have a lot of empathy for them, there's only so many times in a day where I can actually, like, I think I can be okay. I see it, I understand it, but I'm also a human being. And there's only so many times in a day where I can have an attack coming at me, where eventually I kind of cross the line and I feel it physically. So now I'm having a biochemical experience from all of these comments, and then it's taking me out emotionally. It's taking me time to process, What it actually looks like to me practically is I feel a little bit drained and depleted. And so I'm giving my energy away. My energy is being taken from me by engaging it. So I just kind of stopped looking at the comments for a hot minute. I'm like, maybe I'll just still post and not fucking read it because it's a little bit, don't you know that you're toxic?
Yeah, it's bad.
You've gotten a lot of trolley trolls too, haven't you, recently?
Yeah, lately it's been pretty intense. Like I'd say the past couple weeks, it's been wild.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Something about the Facebook algo. We've been saying like, "What the Zuck" for Zuckerberg. What the Zuck? Because like our reels have been like going out to like thousands of people. It's been kind of weird, tens of thousands. It's kind of weird. So it's bringing in, and I don't know if that's just like, I think one of the things that drives the algorithms on like reels and stuff is, I hate to say this, but like hate, like anger, frustration. It's a real attention grabber. I am not trying to seek attention of hate. I am not trying to piss off anybody in AA at all. I don't care. I'm not trying to convince anybody in AA, nor do I think I could, that AA is dangerous and that they should stop. I have no interest in converting anybody. I do feel like it's important to have messages like this and conversations like this on the internet for those of us who do leave and are looking for support and validation. And I really believe in that. But unfortunately, I think that the algorithm really pumps out what triggers people when people get reactive, and that gets all the comments, all the likes, all the thumb downs or whatever. And then it kind of goes mini viral. And and that's kind of part of what social media can do in certain contexts, right?
Yep. All right, I love you guys, but I gotta get going. Sarah said you were full of unintentional puns. I love it.
We have fun fact. Look at the countries that do not allow AA or even have more scary version. That is crazy rabbit hole. And then we have Kat saying, what are the countries that actually don't allow AA? Like which ones? Okay, so why don't y'all continue the conversations in the comments? It's been 3 hours and 15 minutes. This has been a long, epic adventure. It is the spoons are gone. I have to go to the bathroom again.
Yes, same.
It's been super fun. I always love doing little Burnie and Bestie Live, and it's great to have you guys here.
Love you guys.
Appreciate you. See you soon. Bye, everybody.